Fernando Mendoza, Jordan Tyson, Jeremiah Love, Carnell Tate, Makai Lemon, and a bunch of bums. It's your 2026 rookie class. We're here. The Dynasty Fantasy Football Roundtable, David Maddox, Pat Carrain from legendaryappetite.com, Jake Sanderson. From Thinking About Thinking, we do this every year. We do our Dynasty Fantasy Football Roundtable. We're going to do 2 editions this year. We are going to first, today, take a look at the rookie class, the incoming rookies here. Then probably sometime next week, maybe the week after, depending on if Jacob's able to escape Mexico. And if Pat Carrain can get his shifts covered at Graceland Memorial Hospital, we will then do our a much more comprehensive conversation about the dynasty. But guys, not a very good class. Not good class at all. I think both of you guys noted that if you had the 109 in your Superflex tight end premium rookie draft, that would be like the average value of a 2027 second round pick. Now, I just before we get into specific guys, this, that, and the other thing, I do just want to make one mental note, which is I've been playing Dynasty Fantasy Football for a long time. I've seen some great classes, the greatest classes. You've never seen classes these great. And I've seen some horrible classes, awful
Is that an impression of
classes.
someone?
Yeah, I didn't
Impression,
I
it's
didn't
an
ring
impression
any
of
bells
someone.
for me.
And I will say that by and large, these things do tend to come out in the wash. That the great classes, there'll be some truly memorable classes. 2017 was a truly great class. I actually think 2024 weirdly is going to go down as a truly great class. You got like that kind of out of nowhere hit with Harold Bannon. The wide receivers who were drafted look mostly
2025, you mean?
well, yes, yeah, 2025, sorry. Um, the running backs all look great. Like you could have gotten starting running backs for your fantasy football team in the late second. Um, but yes, I just before we got in this class, I did just want to couch it in the negativity here is bound on what we know now and could look quite dumb, 2 years from now.
Yeah, there's been big hits in classes that weren't good, right? Like the AJ Brown class was not seen as very good. But it had AJ Brown in it for one. DK Metcalf was in that class. I think Debo Samuel might have been in that class. It was a
He sure
pretty
was.
yeah, it was a
McLaurin was in that class.
yeah, it was like a really good class actually. There was Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery was like the 103 that year, I think, and didn't really pay that off. I don't mean in Superflex. I mean like a one quarterback. I remember going in that range, and then N'Keal Harry was the big old bust
That was
there,
the
but
guy.
yeah. So not not a perfect class, but sometimes these classes that are bad actually have superstars in them. Um, but also sometimes the classes that are bad aren't gonna surprise us. Think for Superflex, it's pretty
Well,
easy
just
to be
here's a
confident this isn't
random
gonna be an amazing Superflex class because there's one quarterback in the real NFL draft
Right.
that's gonna go before the first 15 picks anyway, and probably in the first round.
So here's just a random example. 2023, JSN was the 1.7. Rashi Rice was the 1.11 on average. CJ Stroud was the 2.3. Tank Dell, who certainly would have been a hit had his leg not separated into a million pieces.
He did enough to be a hit, I think,
I
from
think
where
he
Yeah.
did.
where
I
he
think he did
went.
do. You got. I mean, Michael Wilson, obviously a giant hit. You got Bryce Young. Now, it's funny. We just all hated Bryce Young at the time. But again, and you go down, and you're like, okay. I mean, Chris Rodriguez for a rookie third would have been a hit or whatever. Just like, and we don't need to get too deep into the actual weeds there, but just to give you a sense that just because these guys do not particularly project well, like the NFL's just kind of weird, man.
Yeah.
One of these rookie running backs who we think sucks, like Chip Trainum, just pulling a name out of a hat, might get drafted by I don't know the Jets, and then Brees Hall just is like I don't want to play, and the coaches like him better than Isaiah Davis, and then all of a sudden Chip Trainum has a 2 month run where he's scoring 13.5 points per game or something.
Yeah, I think that the issue with this class, is that when you look at, like, the NFL draft and the number of guys that are likely to be drafted reasonably highly at quarterback and running back, There's just not that many dudes, and so that makes it tougher. Like last year, the nice thing about the running back class is that there was a lot of guys who were going to get drafted in like the top 150, and we knew that heading in. And then RJ Harvey gets drafted in the second round, and you have the guys get like Tootin and Scattaboo got drafted in the early fourth and look like they could be in line for opportunity. So there was like a lot of fun bets, but in part because the NFL was pretty in on there being depth at those positions. Um, Not a quarterback last year, but 2 years ago, that was one of the things that really drove that class with real depth at quarterback in terms of the NFL draft. And here, I mean, we're looking at like 4 running backs right now who are projected to go in on day 1 or 2. Just 4. 1 quarterback,
Yeah.
day 1, could get to like 3, maybe 4, maybe on by the end of day 2, but it's not, like not a lot of, like, Tyler Shough, you're gonna be, like, our starter. It's
Okay,
more like
so I
premium
I
backup
do
type.
think. I mean, this is we're kind of I guess we're getting a little bit too deep into this, but honestly, isn't Ty Simpson just this year's Tyler Shough, where he's probably going to be a second round pick? We all think he sucks, but then like whatever team takes him is just like probably going to end up giving him 8 starts, and then maybe we're all wrong, and he's kind of okay.
I mean, possibly, but the pricing you're gonna have to pay, like, last year, we had Cam Ward, who was going in the middle of the first, and I think we'll get into it, but it's, like, roughly analogous to Fernando Mendoza as a
I
first
agree.
overall pick quarterback who's not, like a super high level first overall pick quarterback. But you and then we'll see, like, maybe Simpson is the Shuck. I mean, maybe he gets the draft capital that Dart got, but he's not nearly the rusher, so he's not
He
nearly as
he
fun
won't
for
he won't
fantasy.
he's not going to be a first round pick. I would be
And I mean
awful surprised.
Jackson Dart last year went in the first round and was drafted typically in the late first of dynasty rookie drafts. If
Even
there was
early
a
second.
Jackson Dart yeah, if there was a Jackson Dart level prospect in this class and he was projected to go at pick 22 or wherever he went, I mean, he'd be like the 106 or like the 107. I mean, most like Pat said, I
Yeah.
mean, typically the depth, how far you extend into most of these classes is defined by usually how many first round quarterbacks there are. I mean, you get to like 2 years ago, we had what, 6? So, I mean, you get 6 first round quarterbacks in a class. You only need like a few running backs to like, a few receivers to like, and boom, like you're already all the way through into the early second round of your
And
dynasty
even
rookie drafts.
even this time in 2024, we knew that the top 3 picks were very, very likely to be Williams, Daniels, and May.
Mhm.
Um, and then but, McCarthy was kinda in the mix for first rounds. Penix was seen as kind of maybe a first round, second round guy. Nick's first round, second round guy. And so it was a little bit of surprise it was very surprising when the Falcons took Penix, and it was surprising to see, all 6 of those guys go as early as they did. You're halfway through the first round, they're all gone. And so it kind of beat expectations relative to like pre-combine in that way. But I think all 6 of those guys would be above Ty Simpson. Certainly for me.
Right.
Those I think Ty Simpson's a worse prospect than all those
I agree.
quarterbacks, even if
Sure.
you assume that
Big
they're
agree.
gonna go in the
Big agree.
second round, not where they actually went. So, like, Simpson could surprise and go kinda where Dart went, and I would like him far less than Dart, far less than, like, a Bo Nix or Penix or McCarthy even. Uh, I just don't think Ty Simpson's a very good prospect, even if he does go late
No.
first. Um,
And the other issue is that the quarterbacks and the running backs that have the potential to raise above where we project them to go aren't very fantasy friendly. Like it's one thing last year when we're talking about like, oh, like what if Jalen Milrow snuck into the first round? And it's like, well, that would be pretty exciting
That would
because
be
we
pretty
might have
fun.
issues.
yeah,
Like we could poke a lot of holes in his real life profile, but you can also dream a lot on a guy like that. I mean, even Malik Willis, who like looked like a major bust, and
sure.
now he might $100 million. But,
Yeah,
like,
just
he was a
needed
guy who
a
went
couple years with the
he
Packers.
went round he went round 3, but because you have the rushing upside, you can talk yourself into him as, like, "Hey, if he ever starts, there's a built-in fantasy floor here. There's a really high ceiling. I'll spend a round 2 rookie pick on him." But if you're in this class, those guys don't really exist. Like, we mentioned Ty Simpson. not really a fantasy friendly profile. Like you're like, I hope this guy starts, and if he does start, I hope he's a QB2. And like Nussmeier is similar in that respect. And you go to the running backs, it's like the guy who is getting all the steam is Jadarian Price, not really a pass catcher. So like, what's the ceiling on him as a fantasy prospect? There's not. There's it's a rough class from like a is this guy good perspective, and then it's also not a great class in terms of flyers
Do you
that I
do you
think
know?
be way better in fantasy than they are in real life either.
Are you woke
Yeah.
to who could be the secret running quarterback
Cole Payton.
of this class? Yeah.
Oh,
Guy
yeah,
guy doesn't even
cool,
guy
bro.
doesn't even have a Pro Football Reference page because he went to North Dakota State University.
Yeah.
I'll say something
Fair.
that's tilting to me about Cole Payton is that, we couldn't have done this for
The first
Tom
player
for
we've actually brought up here on the screen today in this roundtable is Cole Payton.
This tells
First
you a
guy
lot.
to
It tells you a lot.
like if we're time stamping the episode, the first
The
timestamp
first
Cole
time's name is
Payton.
Cole Payton.
well, and I
Maybe
didn't
Ty
even wanna
Simpson?
I didn't even wanna talk about him. I wanted to talk about Tommy Mellott, who was, the Montana quarterback from last year who got drafted to the Raiders, but Brady
That's Cam
in his
Miller.
no, they drafted both of them. They took them. They I think, uh
Cam Miller was NDSU. Tommy Mellott was Montana.
Montana, and
I'm sorry.
I think Mellott was picked 234 and Cam Miller was picked 236. They had 2 7th-round picks. They took both of them, and Brady liked Cam Miller more, so Cam Miller got to stay on the team. But it's
I
just
think he was practice squad all year though, because Cam Miller kind of
He
popped
was.
for me. Yeah, so it's weird because sometimes the FCS guy is Carson Wentz and he goes number 2, and he's actually, it wasn't like a long-term starter, but he had a run. Sometimes it's Trey Lance where he goes number 3 and immediately busts. More often it's Cam Miller where he's in like the 6th round and he can't even make the active roster. So Cole Payton, my like baseline assumption is that he's nothing.
Yeah,
But
well, certainly
if the
nothing.
if the NFL like starts to think he's something, I'm gonna come along for the ride there. Like I'm gonna follow the
Sure.
NFL's lead on this. He kind of pops because he is a dual threat, but also like again, he's probably nothing. He reminds me of
I
like back in the road of his days, we used to watch like these gigantic, like 250-pound running backs from like FCS stuff, and it looked like watching high school tape.
mhm. Yep.
And, it's like, this can't be real. Like, what I'm watching is not analogous to NFL football, but it is fun, and I hope an NFL team thinks that it is and gives this guy touches. It kinda reminds me of that where it yeah.
Did you enjoy the 2 starts in the National Football League of Chris Streveler? Because that is what Cole Payton
Yeah.
is. He's Chris
Yeah.
Streveler.
I would if
He is a short yardage specialist on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in
Could he be
2028.
Taysom Hill?
I assure you. Yes, he could be I mean,
Okay.
Chris Streveler literally was Taysom Hill for the Blue Bombers. Like, it's continually tilting that, like, the 2 times that he played in the NFL couldn't imagine that this guy would have ever made the NFL if he wasn't, like, elite in the CFL. He was never a starting quarterback in the CFL. He was just Taysom Hill on the Blue Bombers, who somehow started in the NFL. So, like, I do think that it's totally possible that Cole Payton could exist somewhere on the Chris Streveler, Taysom Hill spectrum.
I completely agree. I guess we should probably go to Fernando Mendoza, who I ranked 2nd, Jacob ranked 5th, Pat ranked 4th. Part of that was I did this and I just didn't want to create a clear winner between Lemon, Tate, and Tyson. I think the first
You're a
tier
coward.
No, it sounds like you're being
no.
a coward then.
Well,
It sounds pretty
I tell
cowardly
you
to me.
what, what I wish that I had the courage to do, and I'm deciding if I wanna do, I'm deciding if I just wanna be the Tate hater. Like, do I wanna just say Carnell
Why?
Tate,
Yeah, what's your Tate
because,
hate?
he just never, like, played well in college, like, ever.
Did you
Just like
watch this past year? He played pretty well.
yeah, you remember when Odell Beckham just, like, farmed all his stats against Fordham
You're just
and
you
Rice?
saw
Oh.
this guy reminds you of
Oh,
Odell
boy.
Beckham, and you said bearish.
So this is Cardinal Tate's final season. Just do that 5 for 101 against Ohio. Oh, 9 for 83 and 1 against Minnesota. Well, surely in big games. Surely in a big game, Carnell Tate didn't go 3 for 37 in the CFB quarterfinal. Surely he didn't go 4 for 45 against Indiana. Surely he had to have had a 100-yard game against a serious opposition at some point. Oh, sure, certainly he did not. But to be fair to Carnell Tate, how do you even
You seem
analyze
really
these
interested in
guys?
being fair to
Yeah,
Carnell
you
Tate.
seem super fair
I
so
mean,
far.
Well,
it seems pretty easy to analyze Carnell Tate, actually. He had over 3 yards per route run this year playing next to Jeremiah Smith, who's the best
Yeah,
player in college football. That seems
I
good to
I
me, actually. As
that
an
seems pretty good,
he's a
actually. Yeah.
so
3-year early declare who had completely acceptable production in year 2 and year 3, 2.3 yards per team pass attempt, games played. Year
It's more than acceptable in year 3. He broke out. He had a massive breakout in year 3.
he had a 24% dominator rating.
No, I think it was 30.
No, I don't think it was 30. I mean, I guess I could just click on his player card here. Peak dominator rating 25.3%. He is an early declare. He did break out his sophomore season. So he did get the
So
like
that might be part of the thing. So he's at 30% on Rotoviz. So that's where we've got some stat wars going on. Rotoviz has him at
uh
30% dominator rating in 2025.
so I don't know what database they
I have
use. Maybe
him.
it's calculated differently. I
Sorry, I
used
got Wi-Fi'd out for a half second, but I have him at so I have him at 31.9% dominator if you only count his per game, and then I have him at 25.3% if you
Ah,
go season long.
There you go. So
per game is the way dominator rating it should be calculated in my
So
opinion.
it's actually funny. I'm like in the process of changing the whole back end to the slot model to per game instead. Well, the player who I had to scrape and do everything for was noted analytic non-darling Lad McConkey, who
Mm.
never broke out. Lad McConkey, best I could get him to even going to per game
He was an analytical darling depending on your analytics.
on
Like
your
If you
he
looked at
never
analytics.
only at
threw out
routes
that
run, he looked
big
pretty good.
darling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he got to
Yeah, I loved Lad
19.77%.
coming out.
Um, so anyway, basic point here is I guess I really don't know on Carnell Tate because how could you even know? I feel like we are kind of just having to guess in general about the Ohio State guys, and like we kind of don't know the truth about them until they get there in the NFL. And then sometimes we don't even know, like, oh, JSN. JSN sucks. Actually, no, JSN might be the second best wide receiver in the NFL. But it's very hard to evaluate this profile of guy because he literally played with like maybe the number one overall pick next year in the NFL draft.
I
That's
don't think
hard
it
to evaluate.
yeah, to me, it
I
doesn't
think you're
make him
talking
hard to
about him like he's
evaluate.
Jadarian Price. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about him like he has like a terrible profile. I mean, he's not blasting through thresholds, but like he's hitting them. I mean, I don't
He's
know
hitting him.
exactly what thresholds you use or like how you weight the per game or whatever else, but like in terms of like my stuff, which my dominant indicators are generally per route and per game metrics. Like in terms of his yards per route run, targets per route run, receiving yards per team pass attempt on a per game basis. Like I have him as a year 2 breakout with a really strong year 3, just hitting above 3 yards per team pass attempt, and then as an early declare. So like even if he played with nobody, I think he would still profile as like a
I mean,
solid
he's
round 1 dynasty
significantly
pick wide
higher.
receiver.
He's significantly higher in the computer stuff I built than what I actually think. My actual thinking in my actual brain, I think Makai Lemon is just gonna be incredible.
We can talk about Lemon in a second, but I mean, Tate is to me, it's a pretty simple eval. He was a 3-year guy. He is a downfield producer. He produces on real NFL outside routes, not just deep, but intermediate. He's not great after the catch, but he gets open. He can draw targets. He might honestly be a better target earner in the pros than in college, given that he won't be playing alongside Jeremiah
He he
Smith. He
probably he
also
probably
dealt with
will
him.
be.
He dealt with Emeka Ibuka in 2024 as
Yeah.
well, who went in the first round. Marvin Harrison was there in 2023 when he's a true freshman, which helps explain he didn't break out really at all until year 2, but there was massive target competition really his entire career. He's the number 2 to Smith this year, has a 30% dominator rating or, in that general Jacobs got a little higher, it sounds like, per game. He missed a couple games, but I'm like not wondering. I'm like, hey, this guy in his true junior season was very productive, very efficient over 3 yards per route run. Did it playing alongside a guy next year we're going to be talking about as like one of the greatest wide receiver prospects of all time, in all likelihood. That's good. I mean, one of the big lessons of the past few years has been how important the teammate competition stuff really is, and not to discount, these
So
guys
so
like a
his
Brian
floor,
Thomas who was playing alongside Malik Neighbors or
well,
JSN
by
And
the
his
way,
profile's
in the
better
same.
than Brian Thomas's, I
It
think.
is
his
better than Brian
Clearly.
Thomas. It is better than
This
Brian
is like
Thomas's.
I feel like Davis is like framing it as though he's like a Terrace Marshall, where it's like there's
Right,
not that much like where it's like you're like maybe his production would have been good if he wasn't playing with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I view it as like his production actually is just good,
right,
but like maybe it could have been amazing if he wasn't playing with Jamar.
what
And
exactly.
what
also has
I
like Ohio State also has like an endless supply of elite 4 and 5 stars. So, like, even the guys that didn't do anything, like, I bet if you put Mylan Graham and Brandon Inniss on,
right.
like, insert other team, like, they would also be fine. So, it's not only that he was competing with Jeremiah Smith, but he was also then in a competition for, like, who gets to be the number 2 to Jeremiah Smith, the number 3 to Igbuka and, Smith the year prior. And, like, he was beating out other 4 stars and 5 stars just to even, like, get on the field in the first place.
So I'm not even saying that my take is hyper logical. I mean, I think there are logical reasons why you could be like Carnell Tate's profile is not as good of a target earning profile as some of the other
Sure,
noted Ohio State guys.
Of course.
It's
sure.
just I kind of like relative to the market, I would like to be a little bit lighter on Tate, which is why I have him at 4. And really to swing it all the way back around to Mendoza is I was just being a coward on not wanting to rank him. What I still might keep Mendoza at 2, by the way, even after all this stuff, because I I think he's gonna get a decent bit of rushing production in the NFL. Like I don't think you're gonna see him run for like 500 yards or anything, but I think basically he will not like, he's not gonna be Jared Goff where you're getting
No, he's not.
like and he certainly will not be, I mean, he won't be Jackson Dart either, but could you get 364 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, kind of Burrow-esque
I think you
rushing?
could. I think you get that.
I think you definitely could, and God forbid, I mean, I am so freaking losing the football with this shit again with the Las Vegas Raiders. You hire Clint Kubiak, who just like set the like everyone's copying Clint Kubiak and what the Seahawks are doing. You've got Bowers, you've got Genty. They're almost certainly going to draft one of Mendoza's college teammates with the 33rd pick in the NFL draft, whether that be Omar Cooper Jr. or Sarratt. Maybe they won't even be able to take Omar Cooper Jr., but
Yeah,
like
I
almost
wouldn't say
certainly.
almost certain. I mean, it's a chance they do it, but I mean, that's far from a given.
I'll say almost certainly he will get to play with at least one of his college teammates. Could be Kalen Black, could be the tight end whose name Jacob mentioned, Charlie Becker, I think his name is. And I would I
That's a
would also
receiver who is still at Indiana.
what's the tight end's name who's coming out? That's completely irrelevant. They are who like wouldn't you say the Raiders because I think they're 3rd in the NFL in effective cap space? Like Romeo Dubs, Jawan Jennings,
Sure. Sure, but the number
Rashid
1 wide receiver
Shaheed.
currently is Trey Tucker. So it's like it's not like
Well, the
this,
the the number the number 1 wide receiver is currently Brock Emmett and Bowers.
yeah, well, sure. Brock
Yeah.
Bowers is functionally number 1 receiver, but, uh,
I just I
they
just
don't
like
have
it
any
like
actual wide receivers.
I just think quarterback gets pretty consistently overrated in these rookie drafts. Like if you're telling me you have a ton of rushing upside or you're like an elite prospect, then sure, I'm in it as an early first round pick. But I just you can go and get like actual Jared Goff for not that much.
Yeah.
Like you can get him probably like a late first. Maybe a late first. You have to add a third or a throw in prospect. And how long are people like how think about how long you've played Dynasty, listener, right? Like I bet a lot of people listening to this have played Dynasty for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. That feels like a long time. Jared Goff is still going to be Jared Goff in like 5 years time, no problem. You just get him to be your QB2 and not cost much. And for Mendoza to be like meaningfully more impactful than Goff, you need to hit on both. He needs to actually be good, which we don't know, right? Like it's one thing if he was we don't know about anybody, but it's one thing if you're like a Caleb Williams level prospect and you can at least say, well, I'm pretty confident this guy is going to be good in real life. I'm not that confident about it with Mendoza. We see these guys bust all the time. And then it's like, what do you win if you win? And I think unless he is absolutely elite, how many of the top fantasy quarterbacks have similar rushing profiles to him out of college? Like Burrow's an elite fantasy quarterback without elite rushing, but we've seen all these other guys, even guys like Justin Herbert, who outside of Davis, most people would agree is like a top 7 to 8 quarterback in the National Football League. And we see him sometimes be a QB1, sometimes be a QB2. It's very dependent on what sort of environment he's in, what his receivers are, what system he's in. Like, and the one thing we know about Mendoza is he's going into a system that loves running the ball.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be like a -7 PROE team. So you either need Mendoza to be like so elite that a team is willing to orient their philosophy around him with like no matter what we're going to throw because we have Fernando Mendoza, or he needs to run way more than we've ever seen him run in the NFL, and you need to be right about the in real life value. To me, it's just like otherwise you're just paying for hopefully hits in the NFL, and then he's younger Jared Goff, which is like worth a late first to me.
Yeah, or he's young Sam Darnold would be, like, but he's gonna be a lot cheaper than just going and getting Sam Darnold, and
Yeah.
Darnold is
Remember that 6 touchdown rushing season, 6 touchdowns first 3 games for Darnold?
yeah. Sorry, I mean, Darnold will be, significantly cheaper than going to get Mendoza. Mendoza comes with a lot of risk, he might we've never seen him play in the NFL, it might not work, there's risk of it kinda works, but it's a little Bryce Young-y, where it's just like, it works okay, but, like, we're kinda getting sick of this. We just saw Kyler Murray get benched as the number 1 overall pick. He's a lot more fantasy friendly and had actually some success and still got benched. So it can like kind of work and then he goes away. So I agree generally. I mean, like the reason I had him fourth is because like we'll talk about Love. He's who I have number 1. And then Tate, I'm like, there's a lot of upside here. There's a lot of upside for him to be a number 1 in an NFL offense. It's like a downfield target earner. Um, us to feel about him the way we did about Brian Thomas after his rookie year, that kind of vibe. Um, pretty quickly going in like the top 20 of best ball drafts a year from now. Like that kind of upside, which I want over, kind of a mediocre quarterback prospect from a fantasy perspective. And then Makai Lemon, we can talk about him too, but like he's also pretty exciting and I think fairly safe as a prospect when you look at his draft capital and his profile. Tyson is where I start to get a little bit shaky, in terms of like how could this guy just straight up not hit? And that's where I'd be like, all right, let me just get the quarterback in Superflex where there's, usually a trade market for a young starting quarterback. So that's where I had him, but I have him in the same tier as Tyson. I wouldn't have any issues with you having Tyson, ahead of him if you're, in your rookie draft at 104 and you take Tyson, sure. I think they're pretty similar.
So I want to chat about Tyson because that's the one as I started to dive in more. I guess like I found I came away more impressed with his profile than I thought that I would be, and I wound up ranking him actually third. I think you guys both had him fifth. Um, and I'm curious why he pops less for you, because for me the combination of the top 3 receivers, easily he's has the best freshman season. He's the only one with a meaningful freshman season at all of that group. And then to me, as the single best season of age adjusted production in the whole class in year 3. Um, and then really it's the senior year that was this kind of disaster year with the injury that drags him down, I suppose. I'm just are you weighting that a lot, or are there stylistic things that you have major concerns about with Tyson? Because I think for me, I wind up I'm splitting hairs between the 3 receivers to an extent, but I wound up slotting him just slightly above Lemon in this run at 103 for me. I'd be perfectly happy with Lemon above him if he goes higher in the NFL draft, but that's how I have them right now, is basically side by side.
For for Tyson, I mean, you don't have the early declare profile with him. He's a 4-year guy. Now, that's partially, or maybe entirely because he tore his knee up uh, at the end of his rookie season and missed his entire sophomore season. And then he transferred and played 2 more years, and he's very productive after the knee injury. But still, I'm like, he wasn't playing at Ohio State. He wasn't playing at the big time program. So you have a little bit of level of competition concern, in addition to him not coming out as soon as he could. And then I do have a little bit of concern with how devastating of a knee injury that was, where the draft capital obviously is a huge part of the appeal with Tyson. Um, but it seemed like, just kind of following this as the season was going along, it seemed like Tyson and Tate were both like kind of top 10, and then Lemon was a little bit behind. It seems like maybe Lemon's already kind of passing him from, the expected draft capital perspective. Like, the consensus big board still has Tyson ahead, but I don't think would surprise anyone if Lemon went first. Um, and then like how much, I don't know, there's at least some part of me that worries like NFL teams get a kind of look at, the knee, and he falls a little bit based on a triple ligament tear. Like, did that come with like cartilage shearing or anything like that? Like, is the draft capital, which is supposed to be top 10, as locked in as with Lemon or Tate? And probably it isn't, right? Just because of that factor. So that's something that I think is at least enough to be a tiebreaker, in addition to the level of competition, plus him being a year older in terms of the program. He's like the same age as Lemon, actually. So he's not old, but
Yeah.
he did play one more year.
So, I mean, obviously, if he falls in the draft, I'd move him down. I have no concerns about that. I'm going to take the projected draft capital at face value for the moment. I just
It's just an unknown.
one,
Like, it's a known unknown, right? Like,
it totally is. I just think like his, and we talked about the caveats with Tate, and I know like Jacoby Lane was at USC. I don't know. Like I'm not sure that I like give that much of a fuck about the secondary competition at USC versus Davis. You're on mute if you're trying to say something.
Jacoby Lane can play. Jacoby Lane can
Sure,
play.
sure. Like he's I'm sure he's better than whoever the Arizona State wide receiver
Branch
2
was
is.
there too, right? And transferred out.
He was on. He
In
was only.
Lemon's second year. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess Lemon's
yeah.
first year, but Lemon didn't do shit in his first year.
Right.
Um, so but like this year 3 from Tyson is like pretty ridiculous. Like 3.48 yards per team pass attempts on a games played basis. That's the highest mark of any single season in the class. Had over 40% of his team's receiving yardage on a games played basis. That's the only guy to do that. Also, like diving into his senior season, which like sucked because there was no games. Like I still don't see as big of a fall off in terms of his actual play. Like if you start chopping it up into games played basis, still had 39% of his team's receiving yards in the games that he played. He still had the highest targets per route run, or second highest actually in my base, because Skylar Bell had like 35%, but he saw 32% targets per route run this year, even in 2025. Like I I'm I think he's just, of the guys, like, he is the one that has proven to me the most to be a completely target dominant alpha. I'll grant you that at weaker competition. I will stipulate that the 2024 team where he had his best season was a college football playoff team. So it wasn't like it was a
Fair.
complete, bum squad that was out there. I think that he's shown the highest production ceiling. I still have him behind Tate because I think Tate has a very built-in excuse. I just his best season, which is like, to me, leaps and bounds better than Lemon's year 3, from a production perspective. I haven't had the time to like watch these guys or like dive deeply into the film perspective outside of that. Currently, it seems like they're going to have very similar draft capital. So, using that as a film proxy, I tend to lean Tyson slightly. I don't really mind if you lean Lemon. I don't know. I view these guys more. I think they should be similar tier. And I guess if you like the quarterback more, you can do that. But I like all three of the wide receivers more than the quarterback.
Yeah, I probably end up moving Tyson above Mendoza. Um, because you're right. The year 3 was very strong, and I think that alone comes with a lot of upside in addition to the pretty massive freshman breakout. Now, it was only 470 yards and 4 touchdowns in 8 games, but that was 43% dominator rating for, per game at Colorado. So, and that's tied for the lowest in his career. So, he was extremely productive. Um, and yeah, I mean, again, Mendoza, I just I feel generally like you're paying for the youth, you're like resetting the clock on a
You're
profile
you're
that's not
paying you're
super fantasy
paying
friendly.
for I mean, so this is always kind of one of the interesting things about what timeline, what time horizon do you like to play Dynasty on? Like, what is the knowledge that if you draft a quarterback and they're a hit, right? So like you're assuming that like his median happens, right? Like Mendoza will be a guy that you can either use his points or trade for the next 10 years or 8 years or whatever. Um, if he kind of returns median value on a number 1 overall quarterback pick, like you're assuming he does like he doesn't go full Sam Darnold or whatever. Although even I guess if you had held on to Darnold that whole time,
Yeah.
actually this is so funny because I actually have a real life example of this. Uh, I long way around it. Malik Willis's rookie year, right? I end up through a series of trades. I end up with Malik Willis, and I never cut him because it's super flex league. Like, just don't cut a quarterback. It's deep rosters. Why would you ever cut a quarterback? And I literally started him and won a fantasy football championship because I started Malik Willis this most recent year. So, like, that is more or less when you are choosing the quarterback over the more volatile, like wide receivers just have a
Yeah,
wider range
but
of outcomes.
that's actually a reason not to take Mendoza in the 104 of a rookie draft and to go ahead and take a Tyson because, like, you can actually get quarterback
You can
production in
get you
Superflex
you could go
sometimes
buy
without paying
Jared
much.
Goff. Yeah, you could go
Yeah.
buy Jared Goff right now.
Yeah, or you can, like, go get a Kirk Cousins or a Geno Smith or whatever off the scrap heap, guys that are, like, probably gonna start a lot of games this year, like, between
Yeah,
maybe wait to
100%.
see which one. But, there's gonna be really unappetizing quarterback starters that we're still gonna start games, and a lot of that is just making sure you have dudes that are actually in NFL lineups. So, yeah, I think, Jacob, you're right. That Tyson has enough upside where you probably should just take him ahead of Mendoza. Mendoza, like, I don't wanna seem like I'm too low on him. I don't think he's like Kenny Pickett or something like that. It's just that I don't think he's like an awesome prospect, and all
He's probably
quarterbacks come with bust risk. And even though I do think he hits, I'm not sure he has a super fantasy friendly profile when he does hit.
I mean, he's probably closer to Kenny Pickett than to, like,
Burrow,
Justin
for
Herbert.
sure he
Yeah,
is, yeah,
Burrow.
compared
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Burrow, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
right.
I mean, I guess we should talk about Sadiq now, who I ranked at 6. The KTC rankings also have him at 6. I mean, honestly, I don't feel strongly about this at
Where did you
all.
put him,
Look at
Pat?
look,
I think I had him 8 or 7 or 8.
Crane also had a mate. So
I had him 8 too.
if you look at the slap score thing here, you could see like
I
his
bet his
draft.
drops.
Well, his draft capital is 95.9. The
Right.
prospects so the floors
95.9% of the reason you care about him. Is that what
correct.
it is?
Fourteen 14.8% peak dominator rating.
Yeah.
29th percentile age adjusted production. Like that's his breakout score. Hit 14th percentile tight end production. The RAS is imputed. Um, like this
The
is
RAS will
not
be pretty good, but I don't know
the
if it's gonna
RAS
be,
will
like, amazing.
it'll
We'll
be
see.
I was gonna say it'll be
It'll be pretty
okay.
good.
Hey,
Like
did you see the rumors? The piece came out today. Some people were saying he's going to run in the 4.3s, which I'll believe that when I see it. But
I
like,
mean, that
I
would be
would
pretty
like to
okay.
see
cool.
it.
I would be in
I'd like that.
if he runs in
Yeah,
the
I
4.3.
Yeah,
don't think it's going to happen, but I am rooting for it because that would be sick.
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
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 But the RAS
Uh,
is sort of like, uh, a part of his profile right now, I think in pretty much anyone's kinda mental model of this would be, like, at least 8.5. It might not be, like,
Yeah.
9.99, but it's, like, pretty good. You're kinda be, like, your baseline
You're
assumption for him would
baking
be
in. He's
well
really
above the
athletic.
average. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm assuming he's like a 9.6, to be honest. Like, I
Yeah,
like
I think yeah, I got him too, to be honest, yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of viewing him as Theo Johnson with first round draft capital. Like, it's a little more he's a little more productive than that. Um, I mean, basically, it's the tight end is the last position that I dive into particularly heavily, so I'm not gonna lie and say that I have, like, very well-formed opinions on Kenyon Sadiq other than that, like, doesn't really have any production. I'm cognizant of the fact that production matters less at tight end by a mile than running back and wide receiver, but I
Not
also
as
still
much as
think
you think.
well, this is what I was gonna say. I agree that it matters less in those positions. I think that people vastly overrate the degree to which it doesn't matter, though. Like, I do feel like
I agree with you.
every year there's, like, some Theo Johnson-esque prospect who, like, has done literally nothing, but is super athletic, and people go crazy over them, and I tend to be more into the type of tight end that has, like, cromulent
Jelani Woods was this
athleticism,
guy.
but actual production. Yeah, Jelani Woods, like, there's
Yeah,
all sorts of these guys. I'm never into those
so
guys,
many.
basically. So I think that the production is really underrated at the position, to be honest. But I will concede that, like, there is more of a track record of unproductive or modestly
Yeah,
productive tight ends succeeding
it's
than,
a
like,
very
wide
noisy
receivers, right?
position. Guys
Yeah.
emerge a couple years down the line and become productive who we didn't really think much of, like, looking at anything, they didn't really seem like they were gonna but they, learn the position, earn a starting position in the NFL over the course of a couple seasons, and now you've got, like, a Brenton Strange or a Jake Ferguson or whatever else, Dalton Schultz, and it's like, "Oh, cool.
You
This is
know,
helpful."
so Karain, you were the one that like challenged me to do this because I basically thought like, oh, tight ends are like unmodelable. And then I ran the tight end stuff the same way I ran the wide receiver stuff. And it was like, oh, actually, the thing I thought was most funny, and then it actually makes the total amount of sense, is I got the same correlation and then Spearman score for just straight up reception share as receiving yards per team pass attempt. And if you think about it for tight ends, of fucking course it does, because all you're really trying to know is why is a team drafting this guy? Are they drafting him to be Drew Sample and to block, or are they drafting him to catch the football? And if a
Right.
guy just has like 30% of his team's receptions, that probably, and he ends up being a second round pick, that probably is like a flashing red light that they're like, "Yeah, we wanna get this guy the ball." It was also the only position that RAS had a positive correlation, like a
Yeah,
meaningful positive
that's
correlation
how
with
I have it
win.
too.
Yeah,
I th
Yeah.
athleticism really matters at tight end, but it's normally like Theo Johnson would actually be an example where kinda is the only thing in his profile that you would have been, like, super
right,
excited about. So it
Right.
does
right.
happen, but it's a position where you still do care about the production. You're just never gonna be, like, as confident at tight end, outside of like, Bowers was pretty slam dunk bet. But Pitts, right? Pitts was a better prospect than Bowers even, I think. However, he's not a better real life tight end.
Di
It's like
disagree.
I think Pitts was better. I mean, Bowers didn't test.
Bowers was so much more productive than Pitts.
He was, but we didn't get the athleticism, and I think it's sort of
I I
depending on what
I
he is
actually don't think
how
I
do you
don't think
handle
he
that.
would've I don't know if he would've tested that great. So what I
He
do,
would've
by the
tested
way,
pretty fucking great.
he would've
Probably,
tested
but we don't actually
fine.
know, and so
Yeah.
living, like, in the
Yeah.
uncertainty,
For the
I
record, this
I
is
go
not
back and give him an
retroactive for me.
incredible RAS,
We had
sure.
this argument about the Pitts versus Bowers at the time.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're both insanely good prospects and, like, in the same tier, but my point is
Mhm.
that, like, you're gonna get another guy like Kyle Pitts, probably, again, while we're doing this at some point, and he won't hit. So, and there's not that many of these tight ends who are even really strong prospects, so volatility can kinda swing pretty strongly because we just have a smaller sample of productive tight ends to begin with. So, it is a difficult position to predict. At the same time, I would really like a guy to be productive, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that I do think it's worth looking into these profiles and trying to predict these guys is that people just write it off, and they're like, "Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Harold Fannin was super, 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 super productive and efficient, because tight end, you can't predict it, and he's not athletic. His RAS sucks. Who cares about him?" Like, what an easy win. You just go, "Give me the most productive tight end ever," and no one cares. So, like, caring about tight end production is still a huge edge, even though it doesn't give you, as clean a correlation to NFL production as like at wide receiver.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, the fact that he was not even the most productive or efficient tight end on Oregon should maybe give you a little bit of pause. But maybe that guy's also really Jeremiah Johnson, I believe his name is.
Jamari, I think.
Jamari.
Amari.
Jamari
There you
Johnson.
go.
Yeah,
So
no, that gives me pause, right? He wasn't
Yeah.
the number one tight end on Oregon this past year, right? It seems not
Yeah.
great.
yeah.
He had 1.88 yards per route run this past year. That's actually down from 2024 when he's at 2.14. So he wasn't very efficient. He's not huge, right? He's 6'3", 245 ish. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
By
like
the time you're listening to this, you'll know exactly what he is. But he's yeah, he's probably there. You would think he'd be like in college, actually quite productive, but he was splitting time in the receiving role. I just talked with Eric Froton, who covers these guys very in depth during the season, and he was noting that like you want to talk about kind of the downfield production, who was kind of running the seam routes and that type of stuff. That was Johnson, and they were using Sadiq more underneath and trying to take advantage of yak ability and his athleticism that way. That kinda makes me nervous. Like, I tend to like
yeah.
a guy if a guy's not earning targets at a really high rate, that makes me nervous. Now, if it's Bowers, who was a yak god, and he earns targets, great. But if you're
He
kind of
just did
like
everything.
yeah, he did everything. But if you're sort of like not really that strong of a target earner, and you're not really threatening downfield a ton, now you just start to look like any other kind of random tight end I could get, right? That sounds like Jake Ferguson or Brenton Strange or, these kind of just guys you find for third round picks. So why am I paying a premium pick for this profile?
I mean, that was why I was so bullish on Loveland last year, even more than Warren, in that he was, I thought, doing more of the wide receiver stuff. Like he was the guy that they were like,
Yeah.
clear out, we're gonna split him out wide, we're gonna run a dig, we're gonna run a slant. Like, from the tight end alignment, we're running stick and nods, we're running seams. Like he I thought did more stuff that said this is a guy that an NFL offense might actually design their pass game around, right? Because like you're not really like most functional NFL offenses aren't designing their whole passing game around tight end dump offs. Like that's kind of a thing some college teams might do. Like you kind of fall into because you have one NFL quality athlete on your team, so you build the plan around them. Um, it, if you're not that right, like then you are in like Pat just said the Brenton Strange universe, which is like a useful player, but not a guy who is the first bullet point on the game plan on a weekly basis of like, how do we get this guy into matchups?
If he runs that 4-3, then maybe, but like if he
That's
doesn't, he does
but
feel
like,
more like fancy Jake Ferguson to me.
but I mean, you know who else is super athletic? Like Noah Fant, but like he was athletic, but he didn't have like the full arsenal of receiver skills, right? Like,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
he
see
just
we
yeah.
see athletic receivers bust all the time. Like, and the other thing is with tight ends, not only is production a little bit less reliable, but like the NFL is actually also quite bad at drafting tight ends. Like
Yeah.
we see draft capital be less predictable at tight end. So,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
true.
it's tougher for me to just trust the draft capital on a guy like Sadiq
Yeah,
because
draft capital was the
the
lowest
NFL is
input
like
at tight
notably
end.
Yeah.
the NFL
Yep.
loves to fall in love with an undersized tight end and then they like get there and they're like, "Oh, like, the idea of this guy was really fun, but, like, actually figuring out a game plan in which he gets 80% of the routes and 25% of the targets is not nearly as fun, it turns out, as, like, the 3 screen passes I drew on the whiteboard and told my owner to draft him 21st overall.
Yeah, the draft capital matters at tight end like it matters for every other position, but it doesn't matter like as much as at wide receiver. It's just and it's less predictive. And then the other thing, the way I tend to think about it is like if you give me like if you give me like last year, Fannin goes in the third round, but to a team that is talking about using him right away, there seems to be like a role that he can carve out pretty early. I'm like, okay, it's not like he's a fifth round pick. That's good. Colston Loveland goes super high, but he's behind Cole Kmet, and it's like, this is almost like a second-round pick, you know? And then, like, you have Sam Laporta break out in a big way right away from the second round. That was I mean, I was very bullish on Laporta coming out. He had all the
Yep.
opportunity he needed. I didn't need him to be a first round pick. So you're kinda like you're parsing it a little bit more, but you're thinking about the opportunity that this comes with and the stamp of approval from an NFL team can only be, like, so strong, you know? Like, uh, TJ Hawkinson, they like him. He's gonna start, but, like, does it mean he's, like, this
Well, so
outstanding tight
I
end that he
wanna
went that high, or is he just
I actually do wanna push back on
an
that a little
overrated
bit.
prospect?
Because one of the reasons why you get mixed draft capital signals on tight ends is because of the thing you're just referring to, which is the TJ Hawkinson problem, wherein Hawkinson was basically coming out of Iowa viewed as like a third tackle while he was out there, like a Gronk
Sure.
level blocker. No team taking Sadiq in the first
Has
round would
not
be
worked
making.
out that way. By the way, he gets subbed out for Josh Oliver
Yeah, it's
every year.
actually,
Hey,
like, not true.
I of course acknowledge that,
Yeah.
but that was the thinking at the time, and that was also,
Yeah.
like, 6 catastrophic
Yeah, but
Oh,
years
I know that was the thing
ago.
at the time because I used to call him TJ Blockinson.
Yeah, yeah.
you're right that Hawkinson isn't a direct comp for Sadiq, but, like, Fant would be.
Fant
Didn't
would
work
be.
out.
Yeah.
Eric Ebron probably would
Yeah.
be. Took a
No,
long time for him to
Yes.
get going.
Eric
Ebron was a blocker, I think, but
Ebron was a better blocker, but he
No,
was also a really good receiver.
not really.
Uh, and wait, David Njoku. David Njoku was kind of the freak athlete coming out. He was
Yeah.
behind Austin Hooper at one point,
And
right?
Joku is actually a great comp for Sadiq in terms of, like, a guy who, like, didn't really have that much production. It was like, "This guy's going in the first, I guess? Okay." He and then, like, super athletic, and he got there eventually, but it
he
took a
got there
long ass
eventually,
time.
but it took a long, long time. Yeah. And to be fair to Sadiq, we've been talking about him like he, was behind Jamari Johnson. I do want to mention Jamari Johnson had 14% yardage share. He had a
Right,
13% dominator rating. So he was splitting with Johnson. He wasn't behind Johnson. That's a
correct.
mischaracterization of what was happening. He had it. Uh, Sadiq was at 15% yardage share and a 20% dominator rating. So by both those metrics, he would have been the tight end one with Johnson as the tight end two. Uh, it it still concerns me that he wasn't a split, and that was partly why he wasn't as productive as we would like to see. But yeah, he was not behind Johnson. Johnson was behind him, if anything.
Yeah,
that's
I think
probably
so. We
enough
have him at
Kenyon
8.
Sadiq.
I'll say, like, for people I don't think we went through this off the top. So, like, Davis has him at 6, Pat and I have him at 8. Davis, I don't know if you do the tiers with, like, how you would put them in, like, a neutral class or not. I know both Pat and I do, but I think we have slightly different, like,
I
terminology.
I
But I
I I don't do that.
Yeah, he's an
so, like, I
early
have
second
him.
round rookie pick for
Yeah,
me.
I was gonna say the same thing. So I have him 108, but, like, in neutral value, I have him the same as Pat. I have him as point 0.5 base ones, which is early 2. Um, I have everyone from Mendoza above, so the first 5 as being worth at least a base first. I have
Me too.
one guy ranked as a late first, and then I have the early 2 tier starts at 7. We haven't talked about my late first guy yet.
We do
Well,
it
the
slightly
rest of
differently with
our
the base first. I do early, mid, and late.
Mhm.
Um, I have Tyson and Mendoza are in kind of mid to late.
This is the rest of our consensus first round. Concepcion, Boston, Price, Coleman, Sarratt, and Cooper Jr. I would say I did these rankings earlier than you guys. My rankings are from like I think like 2 weeks ago, and I would update them. If I would update them now, I would for sure move Sarratt behind Cooper Jr. and Branch, which aligns with both of you guys. And as much as I
I was with
honestly,
you on Sarratt. I've had to move him
No,
down.
I have Sarratt ahead of Cooper, but I was thinking about switching that. Like, I mean, production profile wise, Sarratt's is just clearly better.
It's better.
But
Better.
yeah, it's
but
better.
like but vibes wise, Cooper seems like he's like going to go higher. The film people seem to like Cooper more. I haven't like watched the Indiana All 22 yet, but I was talking to someone who I trust earlier today, and he was like, "Yeah, I know Sarratt has like the better production, but his stuff is more schemed up. Cooper's is like
It's
more
kind of what
real boy
Froton
in
was
the
saying.
routes." So
He's not
I
a
like
Sarratt guy.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, Sarratt is, like, a screaming red flag in my or in my database as well. So I have this, UTPRR stat, which is, like, part of my years-long debate about how people use the contested target rate stuff, and I've always been like, if you wanna de-weight, like, if you want contested target percentage to be a red flag, what wouldn't it just be better to look at, like, how many targets are you earning that aren't
I've
contested
started looking at
versus,
the
like
uncontested as well. I still think it's helpful to
so
look at the
so I
contested targets, but
so fair enough, but like, he is the one with the biggest differential. So I have his in 2025, his straight targets per run is 25.2%, which is pretty solid. His uncontested targets per route run is, like, actively bad. It's all the way down to 16.5%. So it's the biggest differential for me of anyone who I think is, like, draftable. The other guy who really takes a massive dive on that is Malachi Fields, who we might talk
and just
about in, I don't
for
know,
the people,
seven or 8 hours.
what is that kinda telling you about the player?
Yeah, so basically it's there's been a lot of people who have done research on wide receivers with a high rate of contested targets being less likely to hit at the NFL level, because the idea is you're not actually able to get open very well. You know, you're the, like, pseudo number one in college. So where there's less elite athletes, and we just decide, well, we're going to throw you the ball over and over and over again. And often where we've seen this, especially get into trouble, is not really the Indiana situation, but more so some of these teams without a bunch of NFL athletes on the field. And the
Yeah,
idea is,
that's
like,
the bad options.
If you're at Ohio State and you can't get open, you don't get the ball, right? Like, we're
Right.
getting to someone else. But if you're N'Keal Harry and there's not really anybody else who's, like, super, um, exciting to throw to, we're just gonna pepper you on, like, contested comebacks, and that's fine. I've always had a bit of a quibble where, like, to me, if your targets per run rate is so high, like, it's like 40 and 30% of your targets are contested, I don't really care that much, because you're still also getting an uncontested target on, like, 27% of your routes, which is awesome. So I tend to look more at UTPRR instead of contested target rate. In any case,
I
so
do
Ross
look at
UP
contested target, but I also look at the contested catch rate, 'cause, if a guy that
yeah,
where contested target rate really jumps out as a red flag is especially if you're getting, if you're seeing a ton of your deep targets are contested and you don't have really
right.
kinda dominant contested catch stuff, I'm like, you can't get open deep probably.
And
But
Sarratt's contested rate's bad.
it's
He's not
bad.
even good at catching contested targets. Yeah.
Which is yeah, you start to put together a picture of a guy who's not gonna get a lot of separation, and obviously that's a concern.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me about Cooper, and I mentioned this to you the other day, Corain, is that like I mean I watch a lot of college football, and the one I don't think I ever really noticed Cooper on the field much for Indiana, other than the one crazy and game winning
Oh my
catch.
Cooper!
Oh my!
Oh,
And
what a
also,
great touchdown! Oh my Cooper!
but on top of that, you know who else didn't notice Omar Cooper Jr.?
Fernando
Anyone talk
Mendoza.
Fernando Mendoza?
anyone talking about college football, anyone doing prospect rank, anyone doing like,
Yeah.
oh, like I can't wait to spend my rookie pick on Omar Cooper Jr. Oh, Omar, like, uh, no one like I've said this to you the other day. It kind of reminds me of the Kyle Williams, but you made the better comp, which is it's more Matthew Golden, where you could watch Texas all year long and be like,
Right.
wait, that guy's gonna be a first round pick. Like that guy was getting out targeted by Amari Niblack, and he's going in the first round. Like no way. So I'm very worried about that for Omar Cooper
Yeah,
Jr.
fair enough.
And I guess let's just go. I mean, I love this dude, and I was stunned that
Well,
Jacob had him higher than me. But I'm
well, but
ready. Go ahead. Go ahead.
just really quick before we get to Branch, I just the one last thing I wanted to say on Cooper is the pro Cooper people keep giving me reasons why, despite all of Sarratt's stats being better, and by better I mean way better, which is like in their first
Yeah.
year playing together, Sarratt beat him by a full yard per team pass attempt per game. Better, uh, and they're like, well, they keep giving me reasons why Cooper's actually better. Okay, if you're telling me Sarratt sucks, that makes me less impressed that you got
Right.
absolutely alphaed by a guy that you think sucks, right? Like if we concede that Sarratt is like a mid fraudulent wide receiver, it's like, why did they design Why did they design all the RPOs around Elijah Sarratt? Because Cooper is one of the best yards after catch players in the league. So why did they keep designing the RPOs around Sarratt? Is the coach who just won a national championship a moron, or like can Cooper like does he not know how to like communicate on these routes, or like there has to be something, there has to be some reason to me why you would design the offense around, player A instead of player B. Like this is why the production stuff has signal. This is why these models work. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's my Cooper cold water. But then happy to go back to Davis to talk about one of my favorite players in the whole class.
Yeah. So I'm very enamored by this screen merchant where
Eight out of
depending on
three.
it's like which tracking software, like are you a sports info solutions guy, are you a PFF guy? But it's like between like 40 and 52%, I believe, of his collegiate receptions were behind or at the line of scrimmage. I'm here to tell you I don't care. I'm here to tell you I don't care at all. Maybe it won't work in the NFL, but this is I would say he's the number one guy in this class where when you just watch him play a little bit, he's the number one guy where you go, "Oh, I totally get it. I totally get why a team would wanna just throw this guy a bajillion screens because he gets the ball in his hands, and it's like he's insanely fast, but he also, like, makes a bunch of people miss and is, like, he's, like, got, like, these, like, long limbs. I don't even really know how he does it. He also was, like, an all-time punt returner at USC. He had 2 punt return touchdowns as a freshman, led all of college football in punt return yards per punt return. And then my favorite stat is Zachariah Branch had 81 receptions his final season at Georgia. No one else on the team had more than 30. But it's just like dominator rating, whatever. But it's like when they were calling passing plays, they were calling passing plays for Zachariah Branch.
Are they passing plays? Because he had 39% of his career yards on
On screens.
behind the line of
Yeah.
scrimmage targets.
Yeah.
39%. He had 17 yards per game on those targets. He had 12 per game on short targets, uh, 9 per game on intermediate, 10 to 19 yards, and 6 per game on deep targets. So, I mean, he was really living behind the line of scrimmage. He played 78% of his career snaps from the slot. This is like this is very, very gadgety stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
his contested target rate on deep targets was quite bad. His uncontested targets per out run on deep targets was horrendous. And he wasn't a
That is
great contested
uncontested
catch guy.
target rate overall pretty high because you can't contest screens.
You can't contest screens, but if you look at actual downfield, 20+ yard targets, he was like they were all contested basically.
Yeah.
So not
Yeah.
that's overstated, but he was not good. So uh, I worry a lot with him about him being a straight up kind of gadget player. I think like maybe he could end up being a slot in the mold of like a Jaden Reed where he gets like a little bit of gadget stuff, but he's like kind of a traditional
No.
slotter. I think Proton I believe throughout Wandale Robinson as a comp for him.
Dude, that
Um,
is that was exactly the comp I was gonna make. Just like a guy who played on these really run heavy offenses, but his coach was just like, I gotta get this guy the ball. This guy's so good. I gotta find a way to get him the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see that working out. And then the thing I do like about Branch is that he's been consistently on, the consensus board and stuff. He's been in that first to second round mix. I think he's probably not going to go in the first round. He seemed to get a little buzz early, but it seems like maybe more like second round now. But if he's a second round pick, if he's like the 55th pick of the draft, cool. That's pretty nice for a wide receiver. So, yeah, he's definitely got some, like, serious gadget
Big red
downside,
flag.
but, and, he could end up being kinda like Marvin Mimsy without like, he could be Marvin Mims without the deep targets, which would not be very
This
fun. But,
yeah.
there's upside for, like, a medium hit.
This is like the best epitomization of why I think this class is so rough is that to me, he looks like the poorest possible man's version of Luther Burden in that
Mm.
he has like all the same red flags, but like way worse versions of the red flags. It's just like a much darker, like bloodier shade of red on all the same red flags, but like
Yeah.
has the same upside too. It's like the yards per run is really strong, especially the last year. He's a 3-year player. He's a former 5-star recruit. So you can like dream on the upside
The
in
the
athletic
5-star
perspective with
recruit
him.
thing, by the way, you can't toss that one out because you do find some of these random sleeper guys who are 5-star. The Stephon Diggs is always the best example of that. Weird
No, I
college
I
career.
believe in the 5 stars.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a pro 5-star player.
Yeah.
And so I have so basically I think he's like he's the dream is like Burden, but I think he's like demonstrably worse as a prospect in kind of each ways. Like the all of his positive attributes are like a little worse than Burden's positive attributes, and all of his red flags are much worse than Burden's red flags. And yet I have him higher in my rookie rankings than I had Burden last year. Not in
Mm.
terms of my actual value. I have him
If Burden
at
was in
being
this
worth a
class, you wouldn't have done that.
right.
It's
I
because of
have
the
him worth a
class.
base second. I think I had Burden worth a late first, but I have
Yeah.
him at the 110. I think I had Burden at like the 201 or something like that. Which kind of tells you where this class is
Yeah.
at. I have him as my wide receiver 6. I don't know where you guys had him. I had him wide receiver 6, 110. I don't know where you guys were on him. Davis, can you pull up
Yeah,
the
pull him up, Davis.
comparison board?
I was actually
Look at
lower
that. I
than
I
you.
outslapped I outslapped Davis on Zachariah Branch. I will note, we already bypassed 2 wide receivers that at least I have higher than Branch. I assume everyone
Oh,
has them
I
higher
mean,
than Branch.
yeah, Concepcion is
We haven't
awesome,
talked
right?
about Concepcion or Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about those guys.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Branch, just on the 5-star thing, so we talked about before how he transferred out of USC. He had a 9% dominator rating in 2024, with Jacoby Lane and Makai Lemon there. He had 14% of the yards. He only had 1 touchdown, which hurt. 503 yards in 12 games. And then transfers. And then, yeah, another team was like, we got to get this guy the ball. He had a 25% dominator rating that final season, 1.94 yards per team attempt. It's not like he was like, otherworldly in this 3rd year breakout. So
No.
it is to me mostly a bet on draft capital. And I'd say i- in him for him, it's like the draft capital really, really, really matters because he's a gadget guy, right? That's the red flag is I need I need scheme touches. I need a team that like really believes he's more than that. But draft capital would help on both counts, right? If I'm like if a coach is going to spend any time getting this guy targets, it'd be helpful if he's a 2nd round pick or ideally a late 1st round pick. And if they think there's more there than we saw in college, that draft capital will also be a pretty strong indicator there. So if he falls to the 3rd round, I'm going to lose a lot of
Yeah,
interest.
no. I I am at the 110 kind of assuming early to mid second
Yeah,
draft capital. And like again, I just want to state, like I have him at the 110. I think in most classes as a guy, I'd be interested in taking it like the 205, 206.
yeah,
um,
yep.
but let's talk about Concepcion because I have him all the way up at 6. You guys are a little lower. I think you have him at 8 and 9 respectively.
I
He
honestly, he's another guy I'd like to move higher, and I hope draft capital ends up being high on him because he is just a certified baller, like super dominant North Carolina State. Sorry, he had to deal. I mean, I've given the inside baseball on him enough. I'll do it. I'll do it real quick. His supposed starting quarterback, his sophomore year at NC State, got injured, so they switched to a running offense. His final season at Texas A&M, Mario Kraber generated back to back to back 35 plus fantasy point games the first 3 games of the season, and then disappeared. And if you like somehow normalize Mario Kraber's performance in those games, his peak dominator would be more like 35, 38%. Like it's just one of those weird wrinkles of how weird sample sizes are in football. But I think Concepcion is closer probably to the Lemon, Tate, Tyson tier than the nerds are currently giving him credit for.
yeah, I mean, I view him as a guy who is drawing super live to go round 1 in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
He has the best freshman season of basically anyone who's going to go in the first 2 days of the NFL draft. He's an early declare, and we got a pretty decent, if not that awesome, 3rd season too. So
Yeah.
I
At
mean,
a
the
new
second season's
school, which
draft,
is kinda interesting as well.
and
Mhm.
and at a high level of competition in the SEC, both in terms of like corners faced and in terms of teammates played with. So like, yeah, I don't think that there's no like elite peak season, right? There's nothing compared to like Tyson. There's nothing even really on the level of Tate or Lemon's peak season. So I think he's clearly below those guys. But just from like a fundamentals of 2 productive seasons, early declare, freshman breakout SEC player, like this is normally a wide receiver I would like to be above market on while taking at the 110, not a guy I'm taking at the freaking 1.6. But yeah, like I think to me, I have him in a tier of his own as the wide receiver 4 in the class, assuming late, similar draft capital Boston. Obviously, if he goes like in the second and Boston goes 20 picks higher, I'd swap them. But that's I'm pretty high on him right now. The main dropback it seems to be is he has a really high drop rate, and I don't care.
To me, the main drawback is that a lot of the production was short or behind the line of
Sure.
scrimmage. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
and so he has kind of some similar gadget concerns to Zachariah Branch, but I'm much more worried about Branch, where again Branch had 39% of his career yards behind the line of scrimmage. Concepcion was at 16% and he had 37% short. So he was at least like his most productive area of the field, 22 yards per game, was short targets, which isn't ideal, but is definitely better than needing them straight up schemed. So
And the
the
data
other
out
thing,
this year was 12.3. Branches was 3.4.
yeah, yeah, that's that's different. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of the NC State years, he was at 8.2 and 6.9. So that's kinda, driving a lot of that shallow usage. Um, but he had another productive, second breakout season at Texas A&M in his true junior year. And so I'm not super worried about that for Concepcion the way I am for Branch. It is something I think to note. He also played predominantly in the slot over his career. He did play more out wide than in the slot this
I
past year, but
just
still
one
34% in
one
the slot.
other one
He's
other thing to
probably
note.
an NFL slot.
You can see the disruption in his production once, Grayson McCall got injured, like, the way that he ended
Yeah.
the season at NC State. I think I think he is closer to that big 3 kind of than the people. Is he gonna do the drills and everything in the combine?
I mean, I think he's
I'm sure.
decidedly worse than the big 3. Like, he doesn't have a season really
Yeah,
anywhere.
I think
I
he's
mean I mean,
yeah.
age adjusted, his freshman season super impressive, but, like, just raw peak production, he's really nowhere close to multiple seasons of Lemon and or multiple seasons of Tate and sorry, just yeah, his peak stuff is nowhere close to the peak stuff of the top 3. Um, Age adjusted is interesting. So I think he's solidly 4th at best, but I really do think he's 4th. Also, he's on, like, all my Debbie teams for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, no, I think I he could be like Christian Kirk, maybe. Like that's
Okay.
Well, that's fun. It's funny because they both went to Texas A&M.
well, there you go. So like that's sort of like the style of player I think we're kind of looking at. Probably an NFL slot, but maybe someone who, can be more than just more than just kind of a part-time player. Like it could be have a
Yeah.
couple years as like a legit fantasy producer while still spending most of his time in the slot. Zay Flowers pops up as like not like a super distant comp, not a super close comp. He's like his 5th highest comp for
I
me.
I was trying to get my comp engine done by this show, and it's not quite there yet. But I bet Zay Flowers shows up for
Calvin
the
Ridley
show.
shows up as Zay Flowers. So Calvin Ridley, Rondale Moore, R.I.P., John Mechie, Christian Kirk, Zay Flowers, show up as his comps for me. So
Okay.
it's kind of intriguing, right? But it's not someone you're excited to take at the 106, I'd say. It's a guy you could say, "Wow, I got this guy at the 202. What a smash." But yeah, paying a mid first in Superflex for this profile definitely hurts a bit. And I don't think he's that close to Tate and Lemon and even Tyson. Um, but I do think when you look at Denzel Boston, who looks like a
Yeah.
safer bet to go round
Yep.
1, I'm like, give me Concepcion over Denzel Boston.
Mhm. Yeah.
That it's more about
The
like
one
there being a gap between
Yeah.
Concepcion and the rest.
Yeah.
So Boston is like the he's like we've seen this profile like basically every year. There's a guy that has this profile, which is he does basically nothing for 2 years. Third year has like a modest breakout, and then he has like a good year four, but like far from the level of year four dominance that we'd want to see for a guy who didn't really do anything that
Yeah.
particularly impressive until his fourth year. Um, Now you can rightly point out that the first two of his years he never transferred. He's been at Washington program the whole time. And that meant his first 2 years were playing behind Roma Dunze, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan. So could you realistically expect him to do
Yeah,
anything those
a
first 2
bunch of
years?
guys who ended up being fucking awesome in the National Football
Yeah,
League.
I mean, fair enough.
That's like somehow the inverse of the Ohio State problem where they all got drafted to assume they're good, and then you look and you're like,
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the other thing with Boston. So
He actually comps
he
to Polk and McMillan for me too. So it's, eh,
That's tough. And then
yeah.
you'll notice I'm pretty low. I don't know if I'm lower than you guys on Boston. Actually, I think I'm higher than you guys on Boston. Not because I like Boston that much, but I don't know. You got to fucking rank someone. Um, and maybe that's just giving some credence because of the level of competition. But I feel like I'm not that high on Boston relative to where he's going to get drafted. I'm definitely low on Jonah Coleman relative to where he's going to get drafted, and both those is because of what I call the Gretsch model, which is that I was at a bar in Seattle the night before the Phillip Rivers game, and I was like, "Look, there's these two guys from Washington are going to get drafted this year. Like, what do you think?" And he's like, "They're going to get drafted? Like, wait, in the first round? Wait, like Coleman's going to go on day two? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm not drafting either of these fucking bums."
So top comp for Denzel Boston, it feels very spot on to me. At least as someone who's not very bullish. Second round pick in 2020.
Wait,
You
wait,
guys
wait.
want to?
Second round pick in
He was a second round pick in
2020.
2020.
Sorry, I'm just
Gi
trying to remember second.
yeah,
So
give me a
2020 was
hit.
like the Justin Jefferson, CeeDee
That's right.
Lamb
That's right.
class.
Oh, Jalen Reagor,
Oh, Laviska Shenault.
Laviska
Nope,
Shenault.
nope. Rager does pop,
Oh,
but it's not Rager's the closest.
no,
Reagor was
Rager
a
was a
first
first round pick.
Reagor was
Rager was
Rager
a
was a
first
first
round
round
pick.
pick. It's not Chenault.
It's not Shenault, but okay, but that's the right class, right?
Very
Um,
athletic.
very athletic.
Very athletic. Second round pick in 2020.
Give me a
Not
give me a
not in
give me
early declare, much
give me
like
a
Boston.
conference.
Yes.
Give me a conference.
Uh,
Oh,
conference. What is the conference? Uh, it's in Texas.
it's in Texas.
Texas
There a
school.
Okay.
is there like a
Okay.
Rice or a
I don't think
Baylor?
there
Oh,
was a
Baylor?
Houston guy. Oh,
Davis is
Baylor
on it.
guy.
Davis is on it. Big 12.
Baylor
Baylor.
Not
guy.
Corey Coleman. Not Corey Coleman.
No.
No, that's too early.
Wait, I was gonna say Corey Coleman. I was in college when
Baylor.
Corey Coleman was
Baylor in 2020. This guy must have
Tyquan Thornton.
busted so
Nope.
hard. Nope. That's too late. This guy must have busted his ass off. I don't remember
He
this
must
guy
have
This
at
guy,
all.
this guy had a 4.38 40, a 207, a 38.5-inch vertical, a 131-inch broad jump. He crushed the three cone at 6.66.
Josh Hurd?
Nope. You want me to tell you?
Yes.
Denzel
Yeah.
Mims.
Oh my god, I literally
Oh my god, that
I
guy
literally forgot
exists.
that guy existed.
Wow.
To me, he's like the
Not
quintessential.
Denzel Mims.
He's like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's the peak of this archetype. Where like I expect Boston to test really well, but like man, you like you can only kind of confirm that this is like a bet that doesn't work most of the time, but sometimes works okay. Rather than like he could test amazing. I'd be like, great, y- that's what I thought you were. I thought you fit into this camp of like
Right.
because you're so athletic, it might work. Um, but I don't. I mean, to me, taking him in the first round of a rookie draft, super flex draft, that's tough.
I mean,
Yeah,
going into his
I don't
senior
love it.
season, he was undrafted in most of my Devy leagues. Like, and I drafted him. That's how I know this because I remember going in late August in my Devy supplemental drafts and Googling the PFF big board. And I was like, wait, this guy has never done fucking shit. Is like projected to go round one next year. Like, all right, I guess I'll take him. And like, that's apparently been profitable. But it was a red flag that he was available for me to take in every fucking single one of these leagues. Because he didn't do anything for 3 years. It's this prospect. like I swear, like if you, I can like envision this prospect in my mind just on my favorite little campus to Canton screen plots where it's like dot
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
screen, dot off the screen, slightly
Yeah.
higher dot, like declare. Like we've just seen this guy so many times.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so in fairness to him, so he literally does nothing for
Yeah.
2 years, 1%, 3% dominator rating. Then in 2024, he has a 25% uh, receiving yard share, but
Yeah.
33% dominator rating because he scores 9 touchdowns and has 41% of the touchdowns in 2024. And then he was at 41% dominator rating this past year with 33% yardage share, which is pretty good, and 50% of the
Yeah.
touchdowns. So he's a
Yeah.
touchdown guy. Kind of you're
At a
betting on
49% per game dominator this year in my stuff because of the touchdowns.
because of the touchdowns.
35
Yeah. So
overall. Yeah.
yeah, so that's I mean, that's nice. You like, you like touchdowns. So
Yeah.
he's gonna be, like, pretty big, athletic, scored a bunch of touchdowns in college. It's not like he didn't do anything production-wise, but as far as,
Right.
like, a 4-year profile, it is uninspiring. He peaked in his first 3 seasons at just 1.91 yards per route run. Um, I think he did have 2.27 this past year, which is better, but still not good. It's another kind of more recent comp in this kind of general archetype would probably be A.D. Mitchell. Does
Yeah.
that seem reasonable?
Except, I mean, that's when I'd start to pick nits of like, well, you are allowed to have insights from watching the games and like,
Sure.
Like Denzel Boston, brother, he ain't got that twitch the way that Mitchell
Oh,
does.
look,
Oh,
you're
you're
saying he's
saying
worse
Mitchell's
than
too
AD Mitchell.
bullish.
I'm
Well, you have
saying
to remember
Mitchell.
you have to remember Davis loves AD Mitchell.
Yes. Sorry. I guess I
So
should have
good.
made that clear. Like 80
I
Mitchell
was
is an
not being bullish. I was throwing that out as a bear comp.
like like Adonai Mitchell with an Adderall prescription and like managing his type 1
Sure.
diabetes is like basically a first round pick.
But
Like
this is partly why we care about production because, like, it's not just how you look when
Right.
you're doing your coolest stuff. It's like, can you
This is what I
manage
was
to do it
saying
over the
about the
course of a
Cooper
year?
thing, right? It's like, why are we scheming all the RPOs for the guy who can't get open? Like, there's probably a reason for that. Like,
Right.
why does AD Mitchell look so good on film, but like doesn't ever do anything? It's like maybe because he doesn't fucking hold the ball when he goes into the end zone. He runs the wrong route half the time.
He's gonna have a holding penalty that calls back a game-winning touchdown in the same
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
He
Yeah,
fumbles it out of the back of the
like
end zone.
yeah. Stop.
yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah.
that's
So
just very funny that I perceive that as a bullish comp. I mean
so yeah, Denzel Boston. I think he's not good, and I have him ranked at the 107. That's how I feel about this class.
What do I have him ranked at, Davis? What
I have him
You
the
have him
highest.
ranked at 10. I had him ranked at
Okay.
9.
Alright.
KTC has him at
So
7 in
you guys have the
class.
shitty running backs ranked higher than me. I have the shitty wide receivers ranked higher than
I
you.
think I'd just
Maybe
rather
this is
take
a good
a
time to
shot
talk
on the
about.
running backs.
Maybe it's a
That's
good
Yeah,
time to talk about the running backs. Let's talk
let's
about the
talk about
running
running
backs.
backs.
that's just how dynasty works. Like all things considered, like you should just take the running back because it's so much easier for them to pay off.
There's so much volatility. They can
No.
end up in a situation where they're like, "Hey, this guy's not good." Like Kyle Monangai. I know you're
Mhm.
you're battling the internet over Kyle Monangai right
Dude,
now. It's like, "Hey."
I can't. I can't with the Kyle Monangai people, man. I literally cannot. There is like there is like a certain this is why I wrote the fucking slaps this article because like it is incomprehensible to me how many people there are out there who like hate rookies. They hate any sort of second year player. They hate anyone young, but like somehow there are certain players who they love, and it's always like a guy that I can't stand. And it's like
The
It's
lunch
every
pail,
always
person
it's
who
it's
hard
always a
hat.
Chungus. It's just always a
every
Chungus.
single person who like has 17 Davis Maddox tweets bookmarked at all hours of the day and like can't wait to log on in week 5 to like quote tweet Nathan Yonkey's post about a rookie's 22% snap share is like fucking loves Kyle Monangai. Like they're ordering a jersey of Kyle Monangai. And it's why? Like why is this the rookie that they love so much? I don't understand how does like anyways, he's not in this class, but he drives me crazy.
Oh, that was beautiful. I just wanted that
I
to go on and on.
I'm with you. I'm with you wholly.
Oh, man.
What
What a
what it
rant.
is,
He's
what it
made me
is
root for DeAndre Swift. Like
Wow, dude.
like and I'm a noted DeAndre Swift hater, but like I find myself being like, a pro DeAndre Swift relative to these Monangai people who are like
Okay.
doing what we do and just
The
wish casting a
Monangais.
DeAndre Swift cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you think
The
about it from like
Monangais.
uh
Monangais.
I've only ever read this word. I've literally never said it aloud. But if you think about it from an ontological perspective, I hope I said that right. Where you're like thinking about the categories of things. The reason why the right wing of the Slapsis likes Monangai is because he's a rookie or a young player who runs like a veteran. Like
Yeah.
It's true.
he has
It's
already
true.
he has already
True.
gone to his post knee injury Javonte Williams style of running, where like he is totally
Yeah.
fine
Yeah.
to get 3.7 yards per carry for a 48.6% success rate. Like that's cool with him.
Well, it's also because when he catches the ball, like he'll catch the ball 2 yards ahead of the line of scrimmage and just like we immediately turning upfield. And it's like he couldn't, it's like I'm going to north south. I don't have a single move like that I could even consider doing right now. So I'm just gonna run forward and you get yards. It's actually kind of productive as long as he keeps getting those targets. So yeah, I mean, I think he does perfectly embody the guy that
Well,
what and I don't know. I actually don't understand why people are so excited because he's not going to get that many touches. But God,
no. Well,
he's
'cause
a hard hat and lunch pail guy. You
there's
know,
like a
you got to give
there's
that
a
to him.
wish
He's a
casting
grinder.
out there that there's like people wish casting out there that they're gonna cut DeAndre Swift and then bring in nobody else. And that just makes no sense to me. Like it's like plausible to me that they could cut DeAndre Swift in order to like sign Ken Walker. I don't think that's likely, but that wouldn't like completely stun me. But I don't think they're gonna just cut DeAndre Swift like to give Kyle Monangai 300 touches. That seems like extremely implausible to me. But I guess I don't know. There's like a weird thing where I understand that NFL teams value the explosive, like shiny toys less than we
Than
would
we
like
do
them
for
to.
sure.
But they also value them more than, like, a certain segment of the internet actually thinks they do, right? Like,
Oh
hence
yeah.
why, like, Travis Etienne is about to, like, clearly make more money per year than Javonte Williams, despite, like, actually not being good in a single advanced metric, but, like, he is fast, and NFL teams will value that, and they'll draft that highly, and, like, if you want explosiveness, you actually do have to pay for it or draft it, and yet there is, like, a contingent of NFL watcher, fantasy watcher who, like, tries to be the adult in the room all the time
Yeah.
and like and like loves to like sit you down on their lap and be like, "Look, I know you like 82-yard touchdowns, but you know what's better than that is 5 yards on a run that someone else would have turned into 3 yards because then you get 3rd and 5 and you have access to the whole playbook."
It was a pretty good season for anyone Boston based of this, if this is the way you tend to view football, because not only did the Patriots have a surprisingly strong season, but you got Ramondre just just
True.
absolutely taking
Yeah.
back over the backfield
Just
is like
just eating
true grinder.
We
Trevion
literally
Henderson
got
blood.
plod mogged. We got plod
Yeah, we got
mogged
plod
so
mogged
hard.
by Ramondre hard.
Plod mogged. Wow. Speaking of plod mugging, Emmett Johnson.
We were explosive
Can we
maxing
can we
and we
start at the
got
top
plod
at the
mogged.
running backs before we get to Johnson?
Yeah.
Let's give Love his due
Price
here because
or
Oh, sure.
Love.
we all have him number
Love
1.
rocks. Awesome.
I don't think he's as strong. Like I had Genty as a stronger prospect than Love.
Same. Yeah.
I did
And
too.
I think so. There's sort of a fantasy versus reality thing a little bit here with Love versus Genty, where I think if you're like an NFL team and you're like, oh, we think Love's a better prospect, I'd be like, okay, but I mean that would make sense to me because he's super explosive. But my concern actually from a fantasy perspective is that like Genty was profiling as a guy who's just going to get fed. Right? Like
Yeah.
he's short, but he's built, very athletic, good in the passing game, s- big time tackle breaker. The type of guy, in addition to being a breakaway runner, he checked a ton of boxes for like a workhorse and a super fantasy friendly profile. Even with as bad as last year went, he ended up like crushing down the stretch, or at least in week 17, because he had access to a huge workload still and receiving game usage. I'm concerned a little bit, slightly, about Jeremiah Love's, like getting getting fed, getting used in like a 3-down capacity. I think there are teams dumb enough to utilize him in somewhat of a committee, um, that then kind of like limits him to being more of like, maybe like a second round or like 1-2 turn type of guy at his peak value as opposed to like the 101. So on the other hand, he could end up being like the next Todd Gurley. So that would be like the only reason I don't have him as like a no-brainer 101 in a super flex regardless of the year.
I do think
I
teams
do
have
think
maybe
he's
gotten
clearly the 101 in this class.
I do
by a
think
lot,
teams have maybe gotten a
by like a
little bit
lot.
smarter about that
Yeah,
with
by
the
a lot.
early running backs, where if you're gonna spend the massive capital, like, you better be prepared to use them in a very like, even the Raiders did that. Like, the Raiders were, like, not taking Genty off the field at all after, like, the first month of the season.
Yeah, you would hope that because his draft capital is so high that that he is just gonna get used the way he should.
Just keep this dude away from
I
the
just think,
Kansas
like,
City Chiefs.
Genty was, like this is maybe not the most analytical way of putting it, but Genty was like a capital R, capital B running back,
Right.
Mhm.
whereas, like, Jeremiah Love does have, like, a little bit of person goes to podium and says, "He's not a running back, he's an offensive weapon,"
Yeah.
vibes,
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
you could see, like, the fucking, like, Giants take him at 5, and they're like,
Yeah,
you know
God.
like, they're like, "You think that, like, it's bad to draft a running back at 5, but, like, we didn't. We drafted a weapon."
Yes, thank you. That's what I'm saying. There's some risk of like, I won't have him, I don't think as high as like Genty in the overall dynasty ranks as I did like Genty coming in. I don't think he's, at that kind of Bijan, Saquon level. And I did think Genty was at that level. And I think he's just a tier down. But also like so what and who cares and does it matter? Like not really, because he's clearly the number
Yeah.
one rookie in this class, and I'm gonna have him ranked pretty high. I think he's actually a value in best ball right now. We're ahead of ADP on him in the mid second. So
I agree.
I'm not bearish on him at all. I do think it's probably worth flagging that like, he could end up being someone who doesn't get like the
He's
the huge workloads
he's
that,
never
that
even
we
had
do love to
200
see.
carries, right?
Yeah, I don't think
I think
so.
it's not that.
I mean, he's split.
So,
On the
or
other
he's been right around there.
the other thing though, I would note from an upside perspective though, we're going to talk about Jadarian Price. He's my running back 2 in
Mhm.
the class. He's a legit running back prospect, I think. And
Yep.
like the fact that he didn't get that workload might have nothing to do with how an NFL team is going to view him. And he could just be a total workhorse. He could be kind of like a much kind of more well-rounded version of like Breece Hall, where he's getting you're getting the explosiveness, you're getting the receiving usage, and you are getting at Hall's peak just dominant backfield usage out of him as well, and you're getting a better player than Hall. Um, he could be Dalvin Cook at his peak, that kind of
Right.
that kind of player where yeah, he's explosive and not like the quintessential workhorse, but he's so good, he's getting used as a workhorse. So the fact that he split
His
specifically
hi
with Price, I think is bullish.
I don't
Price, by
really
the
have
way,
concerns about Love's ability
yeah,
to be a workhorse, like, he's 6 foot, 214 pounds, like, it's more
Yeah.
about like, to me, there's almost a blessing in disguise about not being that explosive as a running back, because if you're not that explosive, then, like, whatever team selects you is usually doing it with the intention of just loading you up with touches.
Right.
Whereas, like, if you're too explosive, there's, like, it brings in a wider array of interested teams where, like, similar to how we saw with Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Like, the Lions didn't really have that glaring need for a running back, but they were like, "This guy is a weapon." And, like, it obviously worked out eventually, but, like, it was kind of insane that he was, what, the 12th overall pick in the NFL draft, and for, like, half his rookie season, he was, like, playing, like, 20 snaps, and it was, like, really annoying that that happened. And, it obviously has worked out in the long run in a big way, but I do think there's, like, some chance that a team that doesn't have any need at running back looks at Love, and they look at the receivers, and they're like, "We're just gonna take the best offensive weapon,
We're in the
in this
business of
case,
adding
running back."
talented players. We
Right,
take
we're in
good NFL players. That's what we do. It's like, God,
exactly,
just
exactly, and it
wasting a
would be
pick on a
like
running back when you didn't need a running back.
it'd
Yeah.
be so infuriating, but, like, because Love is that explosive, you could see someone doing it, and then all of a sudden it's like, like crap. He's playing 40% of the snaps in week 2 despite getting drafted 7th overall, which would be really tilting. I don't think it's gonna happen. I like Love
It's really the only
and yeah,
knock on him.
Price.
It's
It
that a
is
team could do something stupid would be the only real knock. He looks like a
correct.
very strong prospect.
And it's that he's so explosive and exciting that a team could take him that doesn't need him, which is a compliment in a big way.
Yeah,
Did you know that he's really into anime and that he made a comic book about himself as a superhero?
I didn't.
He's
Yeah, I'm
autistic. Jeremiah Love?
yeah, so it's speculated that he might be on the autism spectrum. And listen to this sentence. This rules. Love is a fan of anime and has been watching it since he was a child. His love for the genre influenced him to create his own comic book series called Jeremonstar, which details a world of football action with supernatural abilities featuring himself.
Cool.
Pretty
He's a
badass.
creative guy. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
you'd love to see it. You want to talk about his
Price,
teammate because
yeah.
I
So,
do.
Price? Do we all have him number 2 in the class, or is anyone else
yeah.
get
I do.
Coleman or
I have
Johnson?
number 2
Okay.
in the class. Who's
Oh,
apparently
I
getting
thought it was
round 1 buzz, which by the way, like, I've never, like, thrown my phone on the ground harder than when the Daniel Jeremiah was like it's so, like, NFL media guy to be like, "Yeah, the Broncos could potentially draft him at the end of round 1 because they might need someone who profiles as a 3 down back." And I'm like, I'm not even saying, like, Harvey's perfect or they shouldn't have a running back. The idea that it's so NFL media to be like, this guy who got, like, a fucking high of 106 carries in a season, like, profiles as a
Yeah,
3 down back. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway.
but that's the thing, man. Like, the NFL is all about traits, right? And if you've shown
Yeah.
the traits, then you own the traits and all this stuff. Like, I mean, there's, like, some truth to that. Draft capital has a lot of value. It's not just the
Yeah.
production, but it's like also he's not a 3 down back. He's a 2 down back. He's like an explosive runner. Uh, so that does kinda tilt me as well. But as far as, like, him being a bet on kinda like what Kenneth Walker is, you know? But I'm intrigued by that. And it's
Coleman.
not a deep running back class, so he's my number
No,
2.
Price.
What do you oh,
Price.
Price I think is yeah, like he's more of a home run hitter. He obviously profiles
Yeah.
like shit analytically because he had 16 receptions in 3
He
seasons.
doesn't profile like
And
shit
and
to me
he's
because
some of the per touch stuff is
for his
really,
per
really
touch
fun.
stuff. Yeah.
Now, like, how much the issue is, like, I mean, I'm ultimately just gonna have to watch every one of his carries, and I'm probably gonna base most of my takes based off of what I see as,
No,
like, I don't
he's
really know
really impressive
I
if
don't
you
really
watch.
know what to, yeah, I hope he because, like, I don't really know what to do with this, right? Like, he has his first touch stuff is great. Like, he's tied
Yeah.
with Love for the highest missed tackles forced among running backs they'd be drafted in the class. He has, a really strong breakaway rate at both the 10 plus and 20 plus levels. He has the highest rate of 10 plus yard runs of guys that are likely to be drafted. So, like, on a per touch basis, he's great. How much I'm supposed to, like, care about that when I'm weighting his, like, 7 carries per game against other guys' 18 carries per game is, like, a pretty reasonable question, and that's why the volume comes into it, and his volume is horrible. It's just you end up in this quagmire of being like, "Well, I can't fault him for not having volume because he was playing behind a top 10 pick, and his per touch stuff is awesome, but, like, I can't then just give him full credit for the per touch stuff because, like, who knows if it would hold up if you gave him another 100 carries a season, right? So it's hard, but I'm intrigued. I think it's more likely that he's Kenyon Drake than he is Ken Walker, but I'm willing to, like, light a candle for the Ken Walker possibility.
That's an interesting comp. Um,
I do like that.
on Johnson would be another kind of
Yeah.
down, bearish
Someone
comp.
threw Christine Michael at me the other day.
Oh,
Fair. Uh, Miles
Felix
Sanders
Jones
is kind of the
another one that
guy
comes to
I've
mind.
thrown out, for
Yeah,
obvious
Sanders makes
reasons.
sense.
But I actually do
Yeah.
like it's a similar bet. You're getting it's draft capital, probably
Antonio
second
Gibson.
round. Antonio Gibson, but for different reasons. But yeah, he is Gibson-y in the per touch department. Uh, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the combine, which you will know very soon now how he tests, is part of the appeal to me. I think he's going to test really well.
He's gonna
Um,
light it up.
yeah, and so it's like okay, he's really athletic. He's not gigantic, but he's going to be like 210, 215, somewhere
Big
in there, I
enough.
think. Yeah, big enough. And, he's going to be, again, with the athleticism, that's going to help solidify draft capital in a pretty thin running back class where I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the late first. It's not even that strong of a class anywhere. This is not like a
Right.
deep overall class. So the receiver class is somewhat deep, but a lot of positions are pretty thin here. So, you know, a team might just be like, screw it. Well, let's just get the guy that we think is going to help us the most right away. We're drafting at the end because we're a really good team, and this guy's going to help us win games next year. So if he goes in the late first round, um, I think he's pretty easily the number 2 running back in the class. Maybe he's even the best Notre Dame running back. No,
Uh, at least one person is gonna post
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna
who
say
is it gonna
someone
I'm
be?
blocking
Who's it
them.
gonna
I'm
be?
blocking them.
someone's
It's
gonna do
it's
it.
It's
block
gonna it's
worthy.
gonna be like it's gonna be like an NFL media guy for sure. It's gonna be like a Mel Kiper. Like, it's gonna be like some jabroni like that who
Yeah.
who like who loves just being like an "I know better" guy is gonna say that, and I'm gonna get so irate. But yeah, I'm pretty optimistic overall,
His
I think about Jadarian Price.
his second
We
closest
s
comp for me is Miles Sanders. His closest comp is Damian Harris,
Okay.
which is
Well,
both it's
exactly.
bearish
He
it's
makes
bearish if you haven't done this in a while, and it's bullish if you've done this too long.
it's bullish because he was legitimately the running back 3 on his college team, Damian Harris.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
was a
remember that,
starter,
yeah.
was an NFL starter, 2 down guy. I think you're looking at, like, you're hoping for a 2 down starter who holds that job down for multiple seasons at least, but might not have, like, a big second contract. It's more like you're farming rookie contract production. Um, Again, in a lot of
That's the
classes, we
issue,
wouldn't be
right?
talking about
Like,
this guy in the first round, but we are in this one.
that's why I think I really struggle. I mean, I still have him as my RB2, but I'm lower than you are relative to the wide receivers. It's just like it's kinda like what I said about Mendoza. It's like, I have to get over this massive red flag of him being a literal college backup, and then if he's good, I don't even get any receiving profile. Like, it's so it's like the floor is like, this guy's just not good. And then the ceiling is like is like he's Ken Walker, which is great. I mean, that'd be a huge hit if he's Ken Walker. But
Huge
like,
hit, especially coming out of
yeah,
the rookie season. That's to me, the value gain potential on him is so big where, it's like, think Judkins, but he doesn't get hurt, and he's not maybe
right.
as good as Judkins, uh, but in a much better situation than Judkins, so it's sort of, we're more excited about him than we are right now about Judkins kinda thing. Um, and Kenneth Walker after his rookie season, I mean, he was going, like, in the late first of kind of the industry leagues. I think he was probably more mid first of, more normal leagues, but, huge, huge win. If you moved on from him after his rookie season, you locked in a huge value gain. So that's part of the appeal to me. I think we could come out of 2026 thinking like there's not that many reliable, young, exciting running backs in the league. Another couple guys are likely have just gotten hurt. A couple guys fell off. It's like, hey, this is a safe place to invest in running back production. Is kind of the draw, and you can sell him for far more than you paid. Maybe not that much more because of how weak this class is, but more than you had him tiered
I mean,
in initially.
what a bummer that Nick Singleton can't even give us something exciting to talk
Yeah.
about
But he
here. But
sucks. But he sucks.
he
Like,
doesn't.
his per
He
touch
definitely.
stuff is like abhorrent.
Well, I don't
He
really
also
care
became
about
a
this
college
stuff.
backup to not Jeremiah Love.
To a guy
To
nicknamed
a guy his
I think
nickname is Fat Man.
fat man.
To a guy who I like better. I like Kaytron
I like
Alexander.
Kaytron for I mean, Nick Singleton, like, legitimately, like, it needs to be said, like, the whole calling card is athleticism. He converted 2.4% of his rushes into 20+ yard gains, like, last year. His for an athletic guy, like, his breakaway stuff is the worst, of, like, all these guys. His missed tackle 4 stuff is abhorrent. Like, he is a fun receiver and he's athletic, but, like, I don't think he can play running back.
I mean, he might be the Kenyon Drake or the Felix Jones. You know,
Yeah, I think he's just bad. Kaytron, I think, is a good rusher, but he has no receiving profile.
68 receiving yards on 339 team pass attempts. I mean,
closest comp
you
for Singleton is Izzy Abanikanda.
oh,
That
he's
sounds
super.
exactly
Yeah,
correct.
that
That's
very that yeah, wow. Nailed it.
I've
slam
been pretty
dunk.
on with the comps, I'd say this show.
That
I've
comp,
been
You're
pretty
doing
that
good.
comp rules. And I also remember hating Izzy Abanikanda when a lot of people were big fans
Yeah,
of him. So
I love
that
Dizzy,
checks
man.
out.
Look at the breakaway stuff. Come on. Yeah,
But
Uh,
Singleton doesn't even have the breakaway stuff. He just has
you're
theoretical
right.
breakaway speed.
Just theoretical
Yeah,
breakaway stuff.
yeah.
Emmett
Let me see
Johnson,
Kaytron Allen.
he's the receiving yards per team
All
pass
right, he goes
attempts
by Fat
guy
Man.
on this class.
Emmett.
If he can eke out an 8.2 RAS, it could be really good. I think he could
His
either
rushing
be.
stuff is pretty weak.
Yeah, it's just like
Oh, hang on.
the
I've got you guys are gonna love this.
come on,
Uh,
hit me.
so Fat Man's #1 comp, and there's some just beautiful comps here. I'm gonna give you
Gotta
a
be like
bunch of these
Brian
actually.
Robinson or something.
Brian Robinson is his second closest comp.
Yep, yep.
So,
Oh man. There we go.
yeah. So actually, no, it's his third closest. So second closest, which I thought it was first and was cracking me up, was Alexander Madison.
Alexander Madison.
Little
Yeah,
bit,
that sounds right.
yeah,
That
little bit
sounds
of
right.
receiving with him eventually in the pros. Wayne Gallman comes in as the closest.
Dude,
Then,
people forget
Exactly. Hell yeah.
Wayne Gallman had a stretch. People forget
did
Wayne
he?
Gallman had yes. Crane, you're the people that are forgetting. Crane, over like a month or over
He had like
2
A
a
month.
month
Okay,
of
a
being
month.
like
A
he had a
month.
month of being like RB20. Like
No,
come on.
no, 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 no,
a
no,
month,
no.
I believe. Yeah.
No, no, no. Jacob is lying. Jacob is lying. I'm
I,
pulling it up now because
didn't he lose his job to like Paul Perkins or Orleans Darkwa or like one of those
No, no, no,
guys?
no, no. So the year was 2020, the year that Saquon did his ACL. He had a stretch for a very by
Okay.
the look at this stretch right here. He was killing it. 24 for 94, 16 for
Hey, in 2
135.
games.
That looks like a
Okay.
month. That is a month. I overestimated it. I said a month. It was 2 weeks.
There might have
Uh,
even been a different season, maybe
Technically, 2 weeks
2019.
is a stretch of time.
No,
I
his
think once it's more than a
his
week.
career high in rushing yards is 682, and it was the season you're showing.
All right, look. People forget Wayne Gallman was a
People
problem.
forget.
I
People
think
forget.
we accurately remembered. I think we remembered quite accurately, in fact.
It's a problem if you drafted him in the first round, which is what you might have to do with Kaytron Allen. Uh, Trey Sermon is on the comp list as well. David
Yeah,
Montgomery.
that'll
David
do it.
Montgomery's here. Which, Montgomery
I
actually
think
some of these
Monty is
guys,
closer to Jonah Coleman, actually.
yeah, that's fair. I would note that as far as the receiving goes, uh so Kaytron Allen has 0.74 yards per route run over his career, which is bad. Um But you do see guys like Madison is at 0.89, ended up getting used as a receiver. Montgomery's at 0.98, has had some receiving juice at times. So if Allen ends up like going third round, becoming a starting running back, I don't think he's like, I don't know. It's not like he can't catch passes at all. He probably has enough um because of his size, I think, that he could be like a 3 down back in, or he could at least be like a Madison style, like, contingent guy who, when he comes in, a la Zach Charbonnet, let's say, he gets to do everything. So I'm not, like, super worried
Well,
about his receiving stuff from that perspective. I don't think it's a draw at all. Um, but yeah, it's possible he ends up in a situation where he does get used somewhat as a receiver, I think.
If you want optimism for Kaytron Allen receiving profile, which you have to squint for, I'd put 2 points of emphasis. One, I don't know if this is optimistic or pessimistic, but his reception share is actually kind of reasonable. It's not that he never caught passes; it's that when he did catch passes, they usually resulted in like 2-yard gains. Um, So
What was his
take
nickname
that either
again?
way. Yeah, I believe it was Slender Man. And then this actually fits quite well with the fat man. His pass blocking grades, fantastic.
Yeah,
He's one of the
good,
one of the highest
good.
graded pass blockers in the class. So
I think we
maybe he
learned
can like
I think we
Samaj AP
learned
Ryan himself into
Nah, I think we learned about pass blocking grades from Trevion Anderson.
look, I
Well,
mean,
we'll see. We'll see.
you keep trying, right? You
Yeah.
what did Chumbawamba say? You get knocked down, you get up again.
What
Right?
do
You're
I
never
what
gonna
do I have to do to sell you guys on Demond Claiborne? What do I
can we
gotta
talk
do?
Can
maybe
we
about
wait?
like
Can you talk
Jonah
with Jonah
Coleman, who's
Coleman
your
or?
7th overall player in the class, like, before we get into Demond Claiborne?
Well, first off, the 7th overall is wrong. I'm gonna move him lower than this in the next update,
Kareem
and,
still has him 7th overall, and he's proud of it. He stands by it.
I stand by it.
he's
I
Kareem
think
Hunt. He's Kareem
Well,
Hunt.
that would be
that would be a
incredible.
smash.
If he was
That would be a
Kareem Hunt, I would
smash.
take him at the 102. Like, if he's Kareem Hunt, who's nicer to women,
So I would say, we have
Kareem Hunt, you'd bring home
Kareem
to your
Hunt.
daughter, 102.
Look, Davis can only think about Kareem Hunt this past year because he watched too much of
Oh,
Well,
the
no,
2025.
I'm about to put you on a
sorry,
continuum.
sorry.
He did.
Davis lives in a
He did
world where
Kareem
Wayne
Hunt
Gallman,
bearish.
right? Wayne
People
Gallman,
forget.
bullish. AD Mitchell, bullish. Kareem Hunt, bearish.
Wayne Gallman was a problem. Kareem Hunt, bearish comp. What?
When I say he's Kareem Hunt, I mean that he is a big guy who can play on both third downs and on the goal line, so that gives him a very versatile skill set. I'm worried that he is kind of maybe even kind of Monangai-y in the sense of like, sure, he can be out there, but he's not adding anything on the table. So how high can his draft capital be? I don't know.
Well,
He's gonna be,
his
I think,
number one
late
comp,
2 or 3.
his top comp for me is Najee Harris, which tells you that
Very,
this
very,
this
yeah, very
this
not.
terrible real life profile can go in the first round if you want. It shouldn't. You shouldn't do it, but the teams have done it. His second closest comp is Zach Moss. Um,
Yep.
and
These
so
comps are Crane. I mean, these comps are spot on.
they're pretty
Yeah.
good, right?
These
I
are
I
so
like
good.
Demont for him.
Yeah, Demont, Scattaboo, and Judkins also come up from last year's
Yeah.
class. So, um, he he had one
Have you
point.
watched him, by the way? He looks identical to Rashad White because he wears one and he has like
He
the same dreads coming out, and he's like also 6 foot tall. So he like looks, it literally looks like a clone of Rashad White, and he has some similarities in the profile.
he he honestly, the note I had was that he reminded me of Zach Moss, which isn't
Yeah, that's
ideal. But Moss actually had a stretch. You want to talk about guys who had stretches? Um,
Zach Moss was a problem. People forget.
He's the problem for Crane's main event profile portfolio his rookie year. The old 8-9 turn Zach Moss, Jalen Rager. People
that was a
that
problem.
was a problem.
That was a problem.
Seems like people don't forget about that.
Yeah, there's
I
some
I
people in
have
my life who don't forget. Yeah.
I have like a very, very, very vivid memory of Crane. Crane was driving the ship one night and like either Pete's connection dropped or
Oh,
Sean
this is a one of the all-time ship chasing moments. Yeah.
some who was it Hassan, but
My
someone
internet cut out, I think, and we took Zach Moss. We timed
and we
out.
took Zach Moss and Jalen Rager back to
Yeah,
back.
Oh
back to
no.
back.
It,
Yeah.
it, it was literally like and this probably been a decade.
Like Michael
now, I
Jordan
think
in
I did it.
96, 97. We going
Yeah,
back to back.
People
correct.
forget Jalen Rager had a stretch. Yeah. He had a stretch.
Jalen Rager did not have a stretch.
No, what I
Most
mean is that
certainly.
he was good about stretching before
He
the
was
game. That's
stretching.
what I mean. He had a
He was
stretch,
Yeah.
okay.
physical stretch he was known for. Jonah
Has
Coleman.
anyone ever become old faster than Zach Moss? It would took like 4 weeks from like, oh, this exciting rookie to like, oh,
To ancient
look at
vet.
old greasy Zach Moss.
Yeah. I it's not this profile's like not that great. I think from a real life NFL perspective, he shouldn't go any higher than the third round, which is where he's being projected to go right now. But like as a third round player, which David Montgomery was as well.
Yeah.
And I like that comp for him. Uh Coleman, I think is kind of he's fantasy friendly. He's big.
Yes.
He can be used in the passing game. You can load him up with touches. Like Najee is a pretty bullish comp, I think. Like, again, I think you're farming rookie contract production. similar to Price. But I have Price ahead right now. It's partly a bet on draft capital. Partly a bet that I feel like if you want to take Price, you should do it now. He might his cost might get outrageous. Like he could end up being like a 5th round pick in best ball drafts post draft because he goes late first, right? Really excited about it. And I just don't draft him all summer. So he's more of a priority for me right now. But like Coleman, I think is also a smash where he goes in best ball. I think could like be more of a guy that pays off solid but unspectacular NFL draft capital. But I get to make the bet for longer. Is kind of where I'm at with
Yeah.
him.
He's the guy, like, exactly like what I was just talking about how sometimes it pays to be less impressive. Like, whatever team drafts Jonah Coleman, like, intends to give him the rock. Like, there's no other
Yep.
reason to draft Jonah Coleman. Like, you're not drafting Jonah Coleman to, like, have 8 designer plays for him a game as a satellite back, right? Like, no one is standing at the podium being like, "We view Jonah Coleman as an offensive weapon." Like, he is he is he is a running
Capital
back.
R,
Like,
capital R, capital B.
capital R, capital B. Like I have like color coding in my like sheet. So it's like, the really elite marks get like bright green and the terrible ones get like a red, and you kind of get like a white in between depending on where you are on the percentile. And like Coleman is like kind of every box is like kind of white. Like it's like a little
Yeah.
little light green, it's like a little light red, like kind of across the board. Like he like softly checks every box. Like I agree. I think he's fantasy friendly. At absolute worst, he's like a Zach Charbonnet level backup where like when he gets in, you just plug him and play him.
Yep.
But like maybe he just goes to a place like David Montgomery did, where it's like we drafted you in round 3, but we drafted you as the day 1 starter in round 3.
And so his peak backfield dominator rating was 80%. Leonard Fournette was
Yep.
at 82%. At his peak, Ashton Genty was at 79%. Najee Harris was at 83%. Rashad White, he said he reminds you of 82%. Uh, Devin Singletary, 81%. James Conner, 81%. Cam Scatterbo, 79%. Like, this is a nice place to be if you're betting on
Yeah.
this kind of 3-down, kind of do everything profile. Jay Ajayi was at 83%.
Hmm.
So it's I completely agree with your characterization there of like why a team's taking him. They're taking him to plug him in and have him be the backfield, and he looks pretty capable of doing that. So I like Coleman. I stand by the 107 rank.
Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna move
possible
him up.
he
I'm gonna
moves
move him up
up.
a good amount.
I think he's in contention with Price for the running back 2 in the class. I don't think it's a slam dunk to have Price ahead. I do have Price ahead, but I think Coleman's in the mix. Um, and as far as like the tax that we have to pay with this weak, thin draft class, Coleman doesn't feel like so bad. He's more like Concepcion to me, where I'm like, yeah, this feels like kind of high, but I don't feel like I'm taking like a late second round stab in the late first, which is where I get to with some of these receivers like an Omar Cooper or something. If I have to take him at the
Mm,
112, I'm like, I would like to take this guy at 212, frankly. And
right.
that's not how I feel about Coleman. Coleman's someone like hit this profile sometimes costs you the 103 or the 104 because it's just overdrafted by the NFL and overhyped. And if he does end up going 3rd round, I think maybe you get a discount where you still have plenty of upside. You still have 3-down upside with him
Mhm.
for multiple seasons potentially. So getting him in the any late first or mid to late first seems actually not so bad.
All right, you sold me. I moved him up to 10. I don't know if I'll get him higher than that for a bit, but I moved him up a couple spots.
I wanna
Davis,
try and sell
do you
you
want to
guys
talk
on
about Gamon Claymore
Okay,
now
let's
for
do
it's
it.
some
just
reason?
like so
Where does
I
everybody
think
have him
they've
ranked, by the way? I
I don't
I
think
I
I
have your
ranked him.
boy. I have him ranked. No, actually, I don't. Do
I'm
I?
ranked
Do I have him
25.
ranked? I have him not ranked, and I went to 36. I couldn't get him in there
Do
in
I have
front
him
of
ranked
Jamar
36? Am
Taylor.
I purple?
Well, guess what? You guys are gonna have him ranked after he runs a 4.3340
All
and
right,
ends up
talk to
getting
me.
the
Sell me on Mr. Claiborne.
well, one, his pass catching chops, I think were kind of hidden by the offense, but I think he can do. He ran a ton
Hid
of
hidden
routes.
hidden hidden by the fact he never caught any passes.
Well, he ran
His
he
pass
ran a ton
catching
of routes.
chops, and I was like, I'm listening. We're hidden by his college offense. Okay, never mind. I'm out.
He
I just love it was like he started with his pass catching chops, and I was like pulling up my sheet because I was like, I thought his yards per route run was terrible, and then he was like,
his yards
we're
per route
hidden.
run is well, and that's actually something I wanted to bring up, and I think Karain has talked about
All
this a
right,
little
let's
bit
hear it.
before about how yards per route run for running backs out of college can be a little misleading at times. Where
I think it's
one
helpful to bucket guys, basically.
so one of the things that I noticed digging into all this stuff over all the data the last 10 years is you do tend to get these semi-anomalous hits in which these guys are on the field all the time because the team just trusted them to be out there, even if they were not actually getting thrown the ball. And
Mm.
I think, is something translatable to the next level where I think even as a round 5 pick, I mean, right now his projected draft capital is pick 172 overall. I here's a comp, and this will be a total. Here's an eye of the beholder comp. What about a little Keaton Mitchell? And it's like, okay, I mean, if Keaton Mitchell was like
Eh,
Derrick Henry had
he
missed
had a
some time.
35% breakaway percentage.
Claiborne?
This yeah.
Yeah.
You know who this feels like to me? Is
Oh,
Jaden
no.
Blue.
Oh, no.
This is
Oh.
Jaden Blue, dude.
Jaden Blue's,
Well,
yards
Blue
per
is
pass
actually a
attempt
good
is
pass
better.
catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will
I guess
say
that's true, but it's like
In Claiborne's favor, his reception share, is actually, like, good. It's, like, 13%. So, he's once again, like, an example of, like, he didn't do anything with the passes that he caught, but he did actually catch more passes than you'd think based off of his abysmal yards per route run. I don't know if that helps or hurts, but
he didn't run a ton of routes. He's a 12 routes per game, which is not a lot. I'm pulling up his comps. That's funny. His top comp, which obviously I won't publish with this because it's from this class, is Jaden Ott. So he and Jaden Ott in
Oh,
this class are Spider-Man meme.
I
Mm.
wanted to talk about Jade Knott too, because I think he's gonna be a sneaky, like, no one's gonna plant their flag on him because he got about 11 touches at Oklahoma last year because
right, because he didn't
coach.
play this year, and then he had
Right, because
sub
he
4 yards per carry the year before. That's why we're not gonna talk about him.
Yeah,
but
but
he's worth
what
bringing up.
he
Again, where did he go to school this past year? I can't remember.
he
But if anything,
Oklahoma fans
Davis
do
should hate
not like him.
guy.
Yeah, he was their most expensive
Right.
NIL player, and he got there, and he was like, "I'm good.
He
I'm
swindled
cool."
them.
Yeah.
But this is the only reason
He
you
was like
remember
the
him, I think.
He was like the Mackay Hughes of Oklahoma, where it was like a
Do
very
you
hyped up
do you have
transfer who,
any
like, didn't
insight
actually play at all.
into what happened to him his junior year at Cal? Because he
Did
was
not.
like,
He played terribly is
yeah,
what
like,
happened.
was he
Yeah.
hurt? Did their quarterback,
I
like, what happened?
No, their quarterback was the first overall pick in this draft.
Yeah, I guess I didn't
It was Fernando Mendoza. That was his
I couldn't
quarterback that
remember
year
when he transferred.
when he was running for 3.8 yards per
He was
carry.
awful.
His quarterback was Fernando Mendoza.
I'm
I
honestly
don't
gonna
think he's a
assume
prospect. I think he's
Sorry. I misspoke. He didn't have 3.8 yards per carry. He had 3.3 yards per carry.
I Corain, I do think he is gonna be a prospect because he keeps showing up for me on these big boards. He keeps like, the film watchers keep putting him, which means someone is telling them.
He had a
Someone is
really good
telling
sophomore year. It's kind of
I
Ja'Cory Krosky Meritish, where
he's
that's like
kind of Ja'Cory
his
Krosky Meredith.
efficiency is atrocious.
yeah.
He didn't play last year, but the film watchers seem to like him for reasons I'm not quite
But
sure of, and then
Ja'Cory
maybe
Krosky
Well
maybe
Merritt
we'll get all the way
went in the
there.
7th round. He went in the 7th round. We only
Well,
cared because he had a really strong training
get
camp.
ready to learn.
No, that's what I'm saying. Get ready to learn. I'm trying to have you guys learn.
Yeah,
He
he
gonna
wasn't
go.
invited to the combine either, same as JCM.
Yeah, I mean, he's 329 right now on the consensus big board at Mock Draft Database. I don't. I think this guy's more likely than not to go undrafted. So,
Probably.
So
Yeah.
what I'll say is if he does get drafted, that is like a giant flashing NFL teams know something we don't know thing.
not if
Because
he's a 7th round pick.
he doesn't really look
I
like a
mean,
prospect though.
well, but it's so weird because his first 2 seasons looked genuinely awesome. So, like,
Yeah.
as a true freshman at Cal, he had 107 carries, 897 yards. He had 46 receptions as a
Yeah,
true freshman
this
at Cal.
yeah, he did flash
Then he
something.
scales
Yeah.
up. He goes 246 for 13, 15, and 12. I think he was a Doak Walker finalist in his second season. He was like potential to transfer away from Cal. He stays at Cal and then does literally nothing, and then transfers to
Dude,
Oklahoma and does even
guy,
more nothing.
I
Like,
have the comp. I
it's
have the comp.
bizarre.
Who's the comp?
It's Ollie Gordon. It's Ollie Gordon.
Yeah.
Where
I think it's more like
Yeah,
Emmett, and
maybe
he's the Jaden
but, like, with
Blue of
an
Ollie
extra year.
Gordons.
Well,
He's
except he
I've been comping him to Zach Evans.
no.
Zach Evans is a good comp.
Zach Evans never went to a real school. He did.
All right,
Yeah,
I
he
have a
did. He went
very
to Ole Miss.
Was he not
oh my
SMU's
god,
big productive
guys,
season?
who do you
No,
think his top comp is?
Zach Evans started at Ole Miss.
Who is Jaden Ott? I told you Claiborne's top comp is Jaden Ott. Who is Ott's top comp?
Well, I don't know.
JCM.
Zach Evans?
JCM.
Yeah.
Wow. We
This
nailed
thing's
it.
dialed
We
in,
nailed it.
baby. Now,
We nailed it.
another the top veteran comp for Claiborne is a friend, not a friend, but because we've never met him, but very very much an on brand player for
Is
our
it Damian
streams.
Williams?
Travis Homer.
Oh,
Wow.
So with that, can we move up the board a little bit and talk about Emmett Johnson? Because I think
Sure.
I'm not sure these guys are going to matter too much.
I mean, Emmett Johnson just seems like a third down back to me.
Okay. I haven't been able to get that excited either.
So
Like,
he
sub
just looks
3
really
yards
good.
after contact per attempt. His missed tackle for stuff is better. His breakaway stuff is terrible. Good receiver though.
Which is like, if he ends up being a third round pick with that draft capital, he's gonna look really good in my stuff.
Breakaway percentage of 28% is abysmal.
So
Uh,
bad.
he had 1.15 yards per route run, which isn't great, but he ran 18 routes per game, had nearly 3 receptions per game. So he's like one of these third down guys that's like kind of like by default a little bit would be the concern. Is it, like, yeah, he can be a third down guy, but he might not be able to like win a third down job in the NFL. If he
Right.
doesn't have much draft capital, and it doesn't look like he's going to have a ton of draft capital. He's projected to go around 3 right now. I have him as, what do I have him in the ranks? I've got him as tiered as a second round, like a late second round rookie pick type.
Yeah, I have him tiered as late too. I have him as my
Yeah,
RB4.
Pat, you
I have him at
actually had him.
17 overall.
I have him at 15. You have him at 11.
I think at a certain point,
Wow.
I just want to take flyers on the running back position as opposed to kind of equally bad flyers at everywhere else. So that's why he's there. But I have him tier, like when I talked about like, hey, I'm getting Jonah Coleman. I'm not like paying that much for him compared to where I think he should go. Like I'd like to pay the 201 and I'm paying the 108. Let's say that's not so bad. With Emmett Johnson, it's like I would like to pay the 211 and I'm going to pay the 111.
Like, I honestly think like the difference between Emmett Johnson and LaQuint Allen is like fairly minor.
Hey, dude, LaQuint Allen was playing third downs on his first NFL game.
Yeah, and I think Emmett Johnson is also going to play some third downs, but like
He
I don't
comes
know.
to Will Shipley for me.
Yeah, Will Shipley makes sense. Like, he kind of reminds me of Woody Marks in terms of like a guy who
Yeah.
received the ball frequently but didn't actually do that much with it, and like got a lot of carries but didn't like do anything.
Woody
with
Marks
those.
is on here too, actually. Yeah. A little further down.
Yeah, Shipley makes a lot of sense.
Tyler Irvin is on here.
That's fun. 111 coming to Tyler Irvin and Will Shipley and Woody Marks.
Tyler Irvin getting a mention 2 hours and 8 minutes into
For a guy
into
that
this is
Karina
dark.
is ranked in round 1.
It's not my fault.
All right,
Oh my
I
God,
wanna
that's painful.
end it. I wanna end it on
End it.
Stowers and Jolly.
You gotta
Yeah.
at least give us like a rapid fire after to each give like a couple names from deep down that we like then. But I'm happy to talk about yours first.
You're gonna have to
Okay.
give me a few minutes to get those names.
I have
I mean,
like one guy I really like.
my
Okay,
late
let
guy
me see.
is Jade Knott. That's
I actually have I have a late guy. I have a couple late guys actually.
Oh, and at wide receiver, I mean Ted Hurst. I think we're actually all in
Ted
agreement on
Hurst. Ted Hurst
Ted
is
Hurst
one
is
of the
fun,
guys.
but he wasn't even the guy I was gonna bring up. The guy I'm all in on, like I think he's gonna get drafted in round 6. It doesn't matter, but I think he really pops is Eric McAllister.
Yes, that's the guy I had. That's like the
Okay.
only like legit sleeper guy I have in this class.
He's the only guy who on like day 2 and day 3, I'm gonna be like praying for a good landing spot. Because like
Yes, yes.
to to me, like I mean, I haven't like watched this guy, so I don't know, but like he has a legit year 2 breakout of over 3 yards per team pass attempt per game. Has another big year. That was at Boise State. Then he transfers to TCU. He doesn't do a ton in year 3, but he has another over 3 yards per team pass attempt per game played in year 4. So we get double production. And then Omar Cooper, like we're talking about his yards after catch, missed tackles for stuff. The only guy who he's competing with top of this is Eric McAllister. McAllister this past year had a 38% missed tackles forced rate on receptions and 7.9 yards after catch per reception. So, and then did that on an average depth of target of 12. So, like a really, really fun yards after catch profile with a year 2 breakout and another strong year of production in a more legit conference. Like he's predicted to get drafted like round 5. So like he's probably nothing, but he's the only guy that I could find where I was like, if this guy somehow got round 3 draft capital, I would be fucking pumped because I actually think this guy can play.
Yards after catch, and he got them on real targets, not behind the line of scrimmage manufactured stuff. He had just 13% of his career yak came behind the line of scrimmage, 41% on short targets, 28% on intermediate targets, which is pretty good. Um, he was primarily an intermediate producer from a yards per game and percent of his career yards perspective, 23 yards per game on intermediate targets, 34% of his career yards there, which is the highest he had, tied actually with deep targets at 34%. He played mostly out wide. 82% of his snaps are out wide. He looks pretty
6'3",
good from the
205.
uncontested. Yeah. And the uncontested targets per out run numbers are pretty good on him as well. Uh, Good contested catch rate, especially deep. So he's like a real receiver. It This probably seems not bullish, but a little bit similar to like Alec Imanor last year, who emerged from day 3. Um, Troy Franklin-ish, although, the weight there was a concern. It's not a concern with McAllister, but he emerged as just kinda semi-starter at a day 3. I think you're kinda, like, hoping for that level of hit, nothing crazy high probably, but, yeah, I mean, he's someone I was taking him in best ball drafts to start because I was like, "Oh, maybe he goes, round 3." It doesn't seem like that. It seems like he's a day 3 guy, and so I've stopped
No.
taking him, but,
But
for
here's
he's a dynasty sleeper for sure.
I don't know if this makes me more bullish or less bullish. It makes me more bullish because I think it explains the draft capital. I don't know if you guys were tracking this, but March of 2024, he had an aggravated assault charge that he pled down and got probation. So I'm guessing there's some character red flags with him. I'm ascribing some of the draft capital issues to the aggravated assault, um, and that's obviously not good. I don't want my players committing aggravated assault. But like maybe he's falling down draft boards for character reasons rather than play reasons. I'm not sure.
That's an interesting note. Yeah, but the draft capital is because his profile's like analytically like, pretty strong. We talked about with Concepcion, like you break out, you transfer, you break out again. That's nice, and he was efficient twice too, 2 different schools.
Also had a weed arrest too.
Okay,
Not like so he's like maybe like maybe has some issues.
yeah, that seems like it probably impacting the draft capital. But dude, he had uh
Play.
he can play. He can play. He didn't play much as a freshman, but he had 4.52 yards per out run on the 52 routes that he got.
Whew.
So he was yeah. And then 3.03,
Okay.
2.90, 2.71. Like, this dude was productive whenever he was out on the field.
Davis, how much of a Kansas City Chief is this guy?
They
Like,
they
wouldn't just imagine like they're like, hey, we got this guy. He's pretty productive. Has a couple of arrests. He's gonna room with Rasheed Rice though. It's gonna be
but
fine.
only a weed arrest? I'm sorry.
No, I said
Only
aggravated assault with a gun.
Oh, okay, well, it's him and it's Chip Trainum then. Those are the 2
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
chiefs. Yeah, okay,
He's
sorry,
Rashi's gonna
I
bring
missed
him
that.
under his
It didn't
wing. and it's
Seth
gonna be
McGowan
okay.
was, I believe, in jail at one point.
Yeah,
Wasn't that
sorry.
a
Chip,
Well,
chip,
Seth,
chip
that's why
train
Seth
'em.
McGowan's years out of high school on my sheet goes year 1, year 2, year 6, or whatever.
You're like, this guy either did a
Yeah,
Mormon
I
mission or
I was
something
disparaging
bad happened.
I was disparaging Chip Trainum. I meant Seth McGowan. I'll give I mean, so we all agree on Ted Hurst.
Yeah.
He's just really good.
Well,
I
just
think
real quick on just to close out McAllister, because the context on this stuff matters, as we talked about with Tate and having great teammates, highly drafted teammates is important. We should note that his down year in 2024, he was playing with Jack Besh. Okay, he he had he had a second round wide receiver
second
on the
look at
offense.
his Crane, look at his teammate score. Look at that teammate score.
It's gonna be good. Yeah.
I mean, I brought up McAllister last year when I was coping for Jack Bash because I was like, "Look, I think this McAllister guy's good. I got him on my Debbie teams."
Uh Dion Burks, that junior season at Purdue, carrying a lot of water. College guys hate him. Proton hates him. He's a
Proton
fun
hates him.
guy.
He looked at where he was, not in my rankings, 'cause I don't even have him ranked for basketball, but he's looking at, the consensus big board and just went, "No."
Have you ever seen a
Yeah.
more Jalen Darden-ass player than Skylar Bell?
Yeah. Oh, and I love Jalen Darden, and I also have Skylar Bell ranked here as well. And then the
You
one
wanted to bring
other
up your tight
guy.
ends.
Yeah,
I
that
like a
was it.
tight end more than the 2 tight ends you like, but I'm interested to hear what your tight ends.
Yeah, you really like Farr. I just like, dude, if whatever team drafts Stowers views him as a tight end and not as like
Okay.
a bit bit boy, like Harold
Peyton
Fannin,
Winks has declared
actually.
him not a tight end on
Okay,
Twitter today.
well,
Did
well,
he? What did he say?
He said the Vanderbilt, and then he put in air quotes, tight end is
Oh,
not a tight
no.
end.
Okay.
classic. Well, if
I thought we
Payton
were gonna have to, like, parse a comment, but no, that's okay.
is right, Stowers is not gonna be
That's pretty
good.
direct.
If
Yeah.
I mean, the way that Fannin got used made me feel pretty bullish about guys like tweener guys in the future, because it's not like the Browns coaching staff is like these genius forward thinking offensive. I mean, they're fine, like Stefanski and everything, but Stowers is just insanely productive, converted from quarterback to
Yeah,
tight end. You guys know I love that.
for sure.
I think he's also gonna
Yeah,
pop
I'd be more bullish if it was linebacker, but okay.
linebacker. I think he's gonna have a sick RAS. I expect him to do very
For
well in
sure.
the combine. Yeah.
I do
The
too.
the thing I worry about with him is you look at his blocking grade, it's pretty weak. And when you look at Fannin, this was a thing we talked about last year a bunch. Jacob, I remember kinda just hammering this,
Yeah.
before Davis even knew who Fannin was. Um, but sorry, I thought I was gonna
Sorry,
be able
sorry.
to
Do you
continue
mean
after Fannin.
Davis, Maddox, Guy, Harold Fannin?
No, no, no. Davis, I can't even remember when Davis found out about him.
Can't even remember, bro.
I think it was September, if I remember right. No, but Bannon was a good blocker, and he was like, "Hey, he's blocking again. He's not blocking against defensive ends. He's blocking against like smaller guys, linebackers or whatever." It's like, great, that's who he's going to be blocking against in the pros too. But Stowers, it's a similar thing. Like, he's undersized and being used as a receiver, but he was more like Kyle Pitts or something as far as if you look at his blocking grade, where I think it's a legit red flag and something that could kind of keep him rotating out. Because the downside of this type of profile, you're getting athleticism and um, you're getting a receiving profile, but you can have a rotational player out of it.
Yeah. I think that seems legit. Like Stowers to me is kind of the combo, like production. I mean, he's MF and Mackey Award winner. No Mackey Award for 1.67 yards per route run. Kenyon Sadiq. Like I mean, he kind of assuming an 8.5 9-ish RAS. Like this is like a really, and I think he's gonna be a second round pick probably. Um, I a third round pick I wouldn't be as in, obviously, but
He's
I like
he's gonna
the
be so scheme dependent because the my
mhm.
biggest issue with players like Eli Stowers is that there's almost no correlation between the coaches who pick them and the coaches who actually have a good plan for them, right? Like Clint Kubiak like pick Elijah, or I mean, I guess he wasn't the one making the selection, but like the Seahawks picked Elijah Arroyo last year in the second round, who is I think not nearly as intriguing as Stowers, but like in this mold of flex tight end. And then we're just like, yeah, we're not going to play you. And we actually AJ Barner's our tight end, and we just lit a second round pick on fire because we like kind of thought it would be a fun idea for a few seconds. And like, congrats to them, they won the Super Bowl. But Elijah Royal is probably never going to be dynasty relevant. And Stowers could like go to a team that thinks it would be fun to like have a guy you could call 6 routes for per game, and then but not actually want to play him as a real tight end. Or he could go to a team that's like, no, we're gonna build something around him. It's just when you're going day 2, it's so variable because the team doesn't have to make it work. Like there's not like Dalton Kincaid's role kind of sucks, but like it took a while to get degraded, right? Like the Bills like tried for a long time to like force him to be an every down player, and then they kind of fell into what I think is a good role for him right now. It's I like Stowers. I think he's super fun. I think he's just very landing spot draft capital dependent.
Arroyo's a good comp where, um, in terms of how it could play out, not necessarily like the profile making, like Arroyo wasn't
Yeah.
productive, right? But
No, no.
in terms of like, hey, we're going to draft this guy because he's going to add this element to our offense, and then kind of falling out of love with that idea pretty quickly. Um, we've seen like Chigakonkwo has kind of had his usage come up and down. Juwan Johnson has had his usage come up and down. So even when the guy can like be productive, which we don't even know, but it can kind of like I want this type of guy to block well, um, and be like outrageously productive, I think. So and or have like really, really high draft capital. But I mean, the thing with him is like he had an 18% dominator rating this past year, 26% in 2024. Like he was good, but this isn't I'm not like blown away by Eli Stowers production wise.
You know who is the actual tight end too in this class? But he has a boring name. As people think he's Kate Otten. My guy, Max Clare, who I like a lot. I think he's deeply underrated. Dominated at Purdue. He had literally double the production of the second highest pass catcher at Purdue in his redshirt sophomore season. Then transfers to Ohio State. He gets absolutely wide receiver mogged by Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. But like, I don't know, what do you really expect
Yeah.
like a day 2 tight end to do on the same team as Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate?
I
And
liked Max Clark
but,
better when he was named Cade Stover or Luke Farrell or
but like
Jeremy Ruckert?
he's gonna
Jeremy Rucker.
yeah, but he's gonna test well. He's gonna test really well.
Do you think so?
What do
Yeah,
we
he can like
think
run. He can run
Jeremy
real
Rucker's
routes. He's
draft
good.
was?
I have no
Who's
idea,
Rouse?
but like I
Jeremy
guarantee you,
Rucker
Jeremy Rucker
Rast.
never had.
Probably pretty good. Probably like 8.3.
Oh, he didn't even run the 40, so
No,
we don't have it.
we don't know. But I bet it was
I
8.3 if
mean,
you
I,
did.
I guarantee. Did Jeremy Rucker ever have over 2 yards per team pass attempt as a redshirt sophomore in the Big Ten? I don't think he did.
I mean,
Probably not. That
Luke
seems
Farrell,
very
by the way,
specific.
8.62 RAS for Luke Farrell. Just by
But
the
like,
way,
I don't know. What is. I just like I don't get the issue. Like I feel like Claire was actually really productive at Purdue. It's really easy to excuse the lack of production at Ohio State.
yeah,
I
you
think
know
he's
who
going to
else
be
was really
totally
productive at
fine
Purdue?
athletically,
Deion
and everybody
Burks,
thinks
and
he
you
can
just
block
not
well.
wave Deion Burks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he plays wide receiver.
I don't know. It does. I honestly, it just doesn't spark joy to me, Jacob. This
If
profile does nothing
If
for
Max
me.
Clare was named, if Max Clare was named like Malik Claiborne, you would love this.
If he was named Justin Jolly and played at North Carolina State University, I'd be like, dude, sick.
It's literally like he's like a white guy named Max, and so everyone's like, surely he's Kate Otten. Surely he's Kate Otten.
Surely he's Luke Farrell. Surely he's Cade Stover. That like I
Anyway,
until proved otherwise, he's Cade Stover.
I don't have him plugged in with like amazing athleticism, so he would move up for me.
I
There,
don't think it's going to be amazing, but I think it's going to be sufficient. Like I think he's going to run like
yeah,
like a 4.62.
cool. I mean, I think that'd be fine. Blocking wise, he's not no red flags there. He's not like an amazing blocker, but there's not like any red flags, and he's kind of more of a traditional guy. So I the thing that kind of bums me out about him is actually the draft capital. Where if you told me like if you give me like boring traditional tight end who actually was like more productive than you think and goes second round, I feel like I've done well with that profile. That's a profile that I bet on a lot, but he's not projected to go in the second round. He's projected to go in the third
Yeah.
round. And that's where I really want some outstanding trait that's going to get him on the field early in his career. And I'm not sure we have it here. Um, and like, he's going to be competing against it, good wide receivers, probably
Yeah, fair
wherever he
enough.
goes. So if it's really to me, it's not the name. I know who's the Max that had an insanely good Max Williams. Maybe I am the double.
Yeah,
Two
the
two
Minnesota
two
Max, but
X's from
he was
Minnesota.
2 X's.
He was
He
two
was the
X's. You're right.
original he
Okay,
was the original Max Maxing. Like, he spelled
he
Max
ma-
like
he,
clavicular.
he Max mugged us. He X mugged us.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I
Max
think
Max.
the Max. That's better. Uh, I think
Also Big Ten guy.
it's not really so much like that he's boring. It's that this boring profile should come with second round draft capital.
Fair.
I was in on Cole Kmet. Again, I've been doing this too long, but I was like, Cole Kmet, tight end premium. You get him in the middle of the second round. This is a value. Pat Fryermuth, middle of the second round in Superflex tight end premium drafts. Huge value. I'm happy to take this profile. I would like for it to come with second round draft capital is the only thing.
I'm hopeful that he ends up getting it. I know that it's not mocked. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me why he wouldn't get second round draft capital based on how the NFL tends to value these guys, but we'll find out.
I have him like he and Stowers and Justin Jolly are all, in pretty similar range for me. Um, and if
Jolly
he
is the
were to get
weird
second round
build.
draft capital, yeah, I could see even liking him the most.
Jolly can you recall you have all the models and stuff. Can you recall another tight end who was like 6'3", 265? Jolly is like the weirdest shaped individual to me. I don't know if that matters or
He's
not.
basically just a wide
Just a
receiver,
weird,
but he's so tall
but he's
that
huge.
he
But he's
No,
huge,
he's
yeah.
not tall. He's short, but he's fat.
oh,
I don't
I thought you
have him
just
as
said he was
265. He weighs
6'6".
265?
I have him as 6'3", 263. What do you have
Okay.
him as? I mean,
No,
he's
yeah,
gonna weigh in
260
soon. We'll find out.
263 is what he's listed at. I had him as 251, which is what ESPN had him as. Uh, yeah, the ESPN has him as 251, so that's what I had plugged in. But if you Google
Okay,
it, it shows
well, we're gonna
263.
okay, well, we're gonna find out in 2 days anyway. That makes sense. 251, I
Um,
like that better.
yeah, it feels better if he's 251.
I don't think he's gonna test well though. He reminds me of like the tight end who's like weirdly productive,
Yeah.
but like I don't think looks fluid. Like he reminds me of guys like Jaden
Is he
Bell,
duck-footed?
Brevin Jordan, Jalen
Yeah,
Weidermeyer.
Brevin Jordan's a good comp. Brevin Jordan's a good comp, yeah.
Do you remember
He
Jalen Weidermeyer? That's who he reminds me of a
Yeah.
little bit.
Oh man, the Texas A&M tweener guy, I loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He comes out in the same tier as, like, Mason Taylor did last year, but he'll have worse draft capital than Taylor. This is not a great profile either. Like, Stowers, Claire, and Jolly right now are all kind of in this, like, "Yeah, could work," like, the Taylor to Arroyo to Terrence Ferguson range from last year. Like, well behind Harold Fannin. Like, there's
Oh yeah.
no, like, amazing sleeper like that at all in this class. And even Sadiq, like, Sadiq comes out behind Fannin for me,
For
uh,
sure.
which is disappointing given the hype that Sadiq has and, Fannin being like a sleeper who went in the 3rd round, but
I
that's
mean,
how I have it.
Harold Fannin in the 3rd round of rookie drafts last year was just like a gift.
It was unbelievable, yeah. Yeah.
If
if there was a
Jolly
Fannin type
clears
guy,
go Davis.
but
Who is it?
if there was a
Who is it?
Fannin type this year, I think it's probably Jolly, right? Where it's just like a really
That makes
productive, like
sense.
he
Just way
obviously
less
not
though.
not as
Yeah.
productive, but like, is not going to be confused as a blocker, was a clear receiver every year. He was viewed as a pass catcher every year in North Carolina State. There just isn't always gonna be a fan. Hey, Fannin had a weird body type and the duck
He did.
feet, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, to sum up this class, like, if there's a Fannin, it's Jolly. Fannin had, he in his final season, he had 750 yards after catch and 3.66 yards per route run. Jolly had 175 yards after catch, and he had 1.80 yards per route run.
Is
So he was like half
Jolly
a
ever had
Fannin.
as many yards in a season as Fannin had after the catch?
So Fannin did peak that season with 750. Jolly, his yardage totals weren't even close to 750. 620 peaked in 2024, 468 this past year, 586 in
Oh.
2023.
Is
Yeah.
there a
So
single
no,
tight end in this class who has as many yards as Harold Fannin had after the catch last year?
Yeah, no chance.
Maybe
probably not.
Stowers?
Stowers
get
might
there?
have in 2024. Let me see.
Did Tanner Koziel ever get there? I don't think so.
Stowers had 769 in
Hey,
2020.
we got there.
Yeah. In
Oh,
2025.
Koziel got there for sure. Koziel had I don't know if you guys have looked at this guy. He's a interesting big three. He had 9 receptions in 24.
How many? 90?
94. He
Wow.
had receptions.
Jacob's breaking up for me. I don't know if he's
We're losing
breaking
him.
up for you.
We're losing
Okay.
him.
I never know with me if it's my internet or the other person's.
It's well, thankfully your outdoor Patrick Dempsey internet is working quite well. So we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, everyone. You can get these dynasty rankings on legendaryupside.com. You can get Jacobs at jacobsanderson.substack.com, also known as Thinking About Thinking, and all of my stuff, dynasty rankings, slap scores, and the whole database actually. So if you want to dive into any of the stuff, it's all there at patreon.com/davismatic. And look, we did 2 hours and 30 minutes on about 32 rookie players. So imagine all the shit
Imagine if
we're
we
gonna have
liked
to
this
say.
class. Yeah.
Imagine if we like this class, and then
We just
imagine
keep
what we're
going.
gonna have to say about the 250 players that are already in the NFL that we already know lots of things about. We're gonna have lots of things to say about those guys. And yeah, guys, we'll see you back